Very well. Now we're set. Finally, it was a whole Odyssey 217. Shabbat, Shalom, my most esteemed friends, lineage of the eternal truth, honorable judges, and everyone accompanying. On this so precious day of Shabbat, belonging to the 17th of Bull, and also in the language, well, not in the language, but in the civil calendar would be at 217. And it started with a whole bunch of inconveniences. The camera was stuck, then the audio wasn't working until it just started working. I hope it's still working. We took off with everything on this 217, 17th of Bull, the year 5991, belonging to the 12th of November of the year 2022. We'll be studying Beliefs 27, YHWH 11. And today I wanted to begin early at 11 sharp because I said I need time because we're going to have a wedding right after today's subject. Once this transmission is over, we shall have the wedding of Josias and Graciela, and we have a specific hour at 12:30 of our time. We have to initiate the wedding, so I wanted to initiate this earlier, but evidently during this 217, always something happens. Something always happens, and I don't even know how it got fixed, but oh well, there it is. So then, we'll begin with today's study, which is so impressive, which is new. I'll say certain new things, which I'm sure will be shocking to some, and others will be celebrating, rather, and who knows, who cares. Whatever it might be, we'll begin with today's subject, first with a word of prayer. Beloved Yeshua, we give you thanks for this so precious day of Shabbat. We give you thanks because you give us life, and because we can live in this instance of this earth, and this final instant, we ask that your Spirit be in us, that we may comprehend everything we'll talk about today. And I thank you for all of this in your precious name, Yeshua. Alleluia. The Lord has blessed with one more year of life the following members of the Eternal Truth: Sandra Regina Lobor David, Brazil; Israel Paula, Dominican Republic; Beatriz Ferrazano, Venezuela; Jesus Herrera, Chile; Edson Mendoza, Bolivia; Hugo Hernan Medina, Ecuador; Naomi Shirley Usuga Tejeda, Venezuela; Conchita Cordobés del Monte, Spain; Giancarlo Solano López, Venezuela; Brianna Sofia Hernandez Andrade, Colombia; Leonel Barrada, the US of A; Sara Aranda Castro, Chile; Josue Hernandez Garcia, Mexico. For each and every one of you, a great big hug on our behalf. Many blessings. May you celebrate it excellently and very happily. Very well, we've already studied this quickly because we've got to talk about certain special subjects. Before that, I'd like to thank Sara Garcia, Petra, and their whole lineage, because they sent us this week, we got this, which is frozen. This was just frozen, which are a type of croissant or sweet bread or whatever you want to call it. It's sweet dough of the highest quality. It's only flour of the best quality, butter. It has no margarine or oil or anything else. It just has butter and natural things, rather spectacular. It is frozen. I'll show it to you. It's very fine. Can you grab this, Brian? Can you put this in the freezer? And I'll show it to you here how it turned out. This morning I made some for Leslie for her breakfast with her coffee, and we all tried it. And I made these. I made one bag, and this is the way they turned out. They're spectacular. You're seeing it. You can see the picture, right? Right there, like 20 seconds. There's a 20-second delay. Okay, there you see it. Those are spectacular, rather, if I may say so myself. And also, Petra sent us a picture of when, long time ago, when we went to Texas and we baptized that whole group there, where Petra was there, and also, I think it was her mother-in-law. I can't remember. The thing is, she sent us this picture. And in that picture, we see Brian when he was tiny. Brian, wow. The rest of the kids, I don't know who they are, but I know mine, so I only recognize Brian. So then that picture was sent to us by Petra, sent it to you, right? Or Sara? Sara? Okay. Well, same thing. Thank you, Sara, for the picture. Petra's daughter, exactly. I don't know if Sara is in the picture or not, but we'll ask Sara if one of those girls is Sara or not. I don't know, but the kids I could not recognize, but I know mine because he looks like Bruce Dickinson when he was younger. He's always had the face of Bruce Dickinson, the Iron Maiden vocalist. I've always found a certain resemblance to him. Brian has a certain resemblance to Bruce Dickinson, right? A certain resemblance to Bruce Dickinson. Right as Leslie says, lots of hair and straight. There it is. Very well. So then, was one of those girls Sara or not? Did she answer? Well, if she answers, let me know. Just in case. Very well. So we go back to the camera now. Very, very well. And I also have to thank for a precious message from Francisco, Ruth, and Grace Lopez. They sent us this morning. It got here. Through the Martinez lineage, we got a spectacular gift, which is a set of pots and pans. A set of pots and pans, which are rather precious. We have this little one. We have this bigger one. It was not in the picture, right? Okay, that's what Leslie was telling me. No, Sara was not in the picture. Okay, we have this huge pan and a tinier one that I can't reach. But with its lids, it is rather a precious, precious set of pots and pans. Many, many thanks to you. And also they wrote, most esteemed friends, Chris, Leslie, Angelina, and Brian, we wanted this gift to arrive on Thanksgiving. Oh, that's great, because it's already here almost. But apparently the blessings have gotten to us sooner. Receive this with our greatest of thanks, wholeheartedly, for the 10 years of work in LVE. It has been an unforgettable experience due to the uncountable hours of teaching you've shown us who our Elohim is clearly and who we are. This whole message has impregnated itself in us and it has formed us into what we are today. Many, many thanks to you, because through you, the greatest of blessings ever received have gotten to us. Your friendship is a great honor, and we hope that you enjoy every day this kitchen set, and remember that we love you always. To the best chefs, Francisco, Ruth, and Grace Lopez, many, many thanks. And I'm not sure if I didn't mention the croissant. Extremely delicious. I mean, wow. Bursting with butter. I mean, it's a source of butter that was in abundance of the greatest quality. Okay, very well. Remembering that we've got a wedding today at 12:30, and since we're going to speak about couples today, here we've got Neo and Trinity. Neo and Trinity, they're behaving up here, the nice couple, and they're also upset because they're asking, where is the Elohim of justice? Very well. The eclipse, of course, we saw it. Of course, you saw what we saw. We've got the pictures that we published after we saw the moon red. Everything was covered. It rained, and we never saw the moon again. But we got to see, really in a miraculous manner, rather, how the moon became red. So then it was spectacular, because I was upset that we weren't going to see it. But because the rest of it here of LA didn't see it. We did see the sky was open for us so that we could take the picture. Very well. I hope I'm not forgetting anything of what we've got here. Very well. Now we're going to leave the text. We're going to go directly to the invitations text, which says, "Hear, O Israel, Yahweh our Elohim, Yahweh one is. And thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thine heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy might." That is in Deuteronomy 6:4-5. And we go into Beliefs part 27, YHWH 11. Very well. This time I will read that of the Torah. I will restart from where we left off last week, but I have to comment real quick, because today we'll talk about a different aspect, something that many of you ask me a lot, and I've never really defined myself. And if I have done so, I've done so from the side of lies inherited of our fathers. I'll say it like that. So then today I shall define my position clearly. I want for everyone in the eternal truth to know what is my opinion, and because I really dislike fanaticism, so then I want for everyone to really be free, free thinker. I shall first read Deuteronomy 6, 4 through 9 entirely. It says, "Hear, O Israel, Yahweh our Elohim, Yahweh is one. Shema Israel, Yahweh Eloheinu, Yahweh Ekhad. And thou shalt love Yahweh thine Elohim with all thine heart, and with all thine soul, and with all thy might. And these words which I command thee this day, a command, it is a true commandment, shall be in thine heart. And thou shalt teach them diligently unto thy children, and shalt talk of them when thou sittest in thine house, and when thou walkest by the way, and when thou liest down, and when thou risest up. And thou shalt bind them for a sign upon thine hand, and they shall be as frontlets between thine eyes." How did we say that was called? The tephilim. I had forgotten about the tephilim. Is that black little box that the Orthodox bind to their heads, thinking that they're following the commandment. "And thou shalt bind them for a sign upon thine hand, and they shall be as frontlets between thine eyes, and thou shalt write them upon the post of thine house and thine gates." This, from here on out, I'll repeat this. This will be the measuring rod to measure everything with, all the scripture that we may read, based on what the Shema is. One sole Elohim, if that measuring rod is not had, that golden rule that Yahweh is only one person, that he does not have a divine son in heaven, that he does not have another being called the Holy Spirit, but is only one, will never understand the scripture. It'll be closed until this part is understood. Once this part is understood, it's not that the rest is understood, but little by little you can get to start to understand that everything has been a great parable, that everything which Yeshua talked about has been spoken in parables, and all the story that he's the Son and the Father, it's all parables. In other words, it's a make-believe story so as to tell a real event. And the real event is that there's only one Elohim, one sole being that created everything and decided at some point in time to come to earth. And he became human. He was born as a man. He was born under the law, under the Torah, so as to die for the Torah also. And when he also died for the Torah, he died to all the demands that the law had. That is the only truth that exists. There's no other truth. It is only one Elohim. He became a man, he spoke in parables, and he left. When he leaves, he becomes his original status of Elohim, and there's not another being called the Son of Man that returns. The Son of Man becomes what he clearly says, which are his children, the children of Elohim. Very well. So then, this is the golden rule, the Shema. We have studied, well, it's not that we studied, but at least we talked a little bit about that love has an order, a certain order, that love cannot be ordered, commanded by a decree, because love will not be born. But once it is decreed, Yahweh gave us the key in order to develop it. Love is not something that all of a sudden it is born and it is built on its own. No, love has to be built little by little, based on rules, specific ones, and to keep it up. That is the secret of the Shema. He teaches us how to build love. And love is built based on repetition. Love is based on daily dedication on a permanent basis. So then, since love cannot be ordered as is, but Yahweh has given us the rules to develop them. So the rule, the teaching is how should we fall in love with a being that nobody ever seen or heard, but left us the steps to follow. And the steps to follow precisely are in the Shema. We talked about a guy called Bert Hellinger, who already died in 2019, a German psychotherapist who spoke a lot about different subjects, about constellations, not those of Hammer, but a different kind of constellations, those which he saw. a very intelligent guy who talked about many things. He could be wrong like anything else, but some he really hit him head on. And he said that love is based in rules, true love. Love has hierarchies. It has hierarchies and it has an order, and the order is always of who gets there first. For example, has a higher hierarchy. It is very important to respect the order in what the family is, and it's fundamental to know and recognize who gets here first and who gets here later. An order is always spoken of. The parents are always the greatest, and the children come later. Like Elohim, the greatest father, and the children, we, come afterwards. There's no turn of the page. That can never be inverted. When we invert that order is when we destroy the home. Just like that, we destroy it. And not just the home, the children. Not just the children, the wife, the husband, the children have DHSs, terrible ones that we've all suffered, because nobody respects this, because it is not taught to us, because only lies has been the inheritance of our fathers. Farewell. So then, after having studied that part, which I still have yet to develop exactly the key thereof, I've already spoken about this in previous subjects. There's just a lot to talk about here. That in the Torah, there is the key of how to really keep a home or a company or whatever you want to achieve, to keep it stable, because they all fail because they don't understand the Shema. The Shema is something specific that does not tell you. It does not tell you something which you maybe should do, but it obligates you to do so. It says that you have to write down the name of Yahweh, to write in your mind and in your heart, in your mind, in your hands, in your doors. When you rise up, you should speak about it. When you go to bed, you should speak about it. When you travel, you should speak about it. To your children, you speak to. That is the secret of it all. That is the secret in order to build a relationship. Because if that relationship is not built, love is never born. Absolutely, it won't be born. So then, we spoke about, exactly as Leslie says, we have to put it into practice on a permanent basis, because you may build love, but it's not built forever. There is no such thing as building love and then leaving it there, as Leslie says. Exactly. It's like a plant. If you don't water it, it'll die. It is something continuous, or else it is destructed. So that's why we get to the couples that many of you already know. Every one of you, your situation, what we see, that they don't really get along, and sometimes they get to, I don't know, I don't want to use extreme words, but they don't get along when they're older. They rather detest themselves. And since they detest themselves, all kinds of problems come here, which are the DHSs. For those who do not know what Germanic medicine, you should first learn Germanic medicine, but all those who know and are already integrated in this knowledge, you have all the types of problems that come because the home is broken. And the first thing that shows up sometimes in the broken homes is the divided home. That is precisely the word. Diabetes. A divided home. A divided house. I read this text to you, and we talked about, I'm going to talk a little bit about this. Let's go to 2 Corinthians 6:14 through 18. 2 Corinthians 6:14 through 18. Be ye not unequally yoked together with unbelievers. 4. What fellowship hath righteousness with unrighteousness? And what communion hath light with darkness? And what concord hath Christ with Belial? Belial means directly injustice, but Paul apparently wants to see it as between Christ and Satan. But Christ and Satan, same person, for those who know. So then we're still talking about the justice and injustice. He would not have placed it this way. That's the way Paul placed it. And what concord hath Christ with Belial? Or what part hath he that believeth with an infidel? And what agreement hath the temple of God with idols? For ye are the temple of the living God. As God hath said, I will dwell in them and walk in them, and I will be their God, and they shall be my people. Wherefore, come out from among them, and be ye separate, saith the Lord, and touch not the unclean thing, and I will receive you, and will be a father unto you, and ye shall be my sons and daughters, saith the Lord Almighty. Very well. Based on this text and maybe some other one around there, and based on all the stories that are told to us of the Bible, for example, Solomon's wives, pagan wives who led him astray. Another example, Samson, right, of course, but it's not because she was pagan, but he was an idiot. Let's begin with that. Because the Bible, you have to study it for what it says. With the first Midianite that he married, it's because there's a plan of Elohim. The pastors don't tell you that. It says Solomon, it says Samson didn't want anyone from his people, but he looked for a Midianite. And his parents told him, Samson, what's going on? In our lineage and all of Israel, are there no women? And you have to get an enemy of the people. But what do the scriptures say? They knew not that it was a plan of Elohim. So then which is it? Was it the plan of Elohim that Samson would look one from the outside? So then the pastors don't tell you this. They only tell you this, oh, we've got this example, we've got this. We have a whole quantity of other examples of them marrying pagan women. First example I'll give, Moses. Whom did he marry? Some pagan chick he found around there. One of the 7 daughters of, well, I can't remember the name right now. Well, I can't remember. But she was not from the people of Israel, and don't believe for a second that they had the same gods. No. First example, I have many to give. Second one, when Abraham sent Eliezer to look for a wife for Isaac, what worried him the most was for him not to marry someone of a different race. Jethro is Moses' father-in-law, correct. Yep, correct. Exactly. It was evident that Jethro was not an Israelite. So then, but we assume that he worshipped the true God. Where was he going to worship him? Where was he going to know him from? Taking that out, just to make you think a little bit, as it turns out, when Abraham sent Eliezer to look for a wife for his son Isaac, he was worried about him not marrying someone from there. But the ones from there, it wasn't because of the religion. No. It was due to the race. No one ever told you that because it would sound pretty bad. He went to look one from the same religion. I don't know. One of my same race. The ones around there maybe had a different color of skin. Maybe had a different form. Another physique. And Abraham wanted one for his son of his own race. That is why he sent him to the house of his fathers, not because they worship the true God. It's got nothing to do with the fact. No, he says, I want one. Well, he says, one of our race. Don't marry this one. Maybe they're a little darker, maybe a little more ugly. I mean, I don't know. I'm just giving examples here. Examples pairs, just to make you think. As Leslie says, exactly of his own kin. That was very important, exactly. Those are very important things. Another one. The next one. Jacob, notice how Jacob's brother Esau married people of the zone. One was the daughter, if I can't remember correctly, one was a direct daughter of, what's the name of the son that Abraham had with Hagar? Ishmael. One was a daughter of Ishmael. Do you remember that or not? Are you familiar with this book? I mean, I'm just asking here. I'm just asking. Of course, Zephra, as Leslie says, was Midianite. I'm just asking here. Well, right now I have to look for I have to look for what I'm looking for, right? It just went until I find that the marriage of Isaac. Let's see if somebody posted there already. She was the daughter of. Let's see. Wow. I don't know where it's going to be until I find it. Esau married a daughter of Ishmael. Yes, exactly. So then in the family, direct family. Exactly, but it was part of Ishmael. Abraham was his grandfather. And Abraham, so Esau married a cousin. He married, one of the ones he had. One. He had many. Esau married many. Very well. But the point there was not whether they're of the same king or not, but rather that they were from different race. So then what did Jacob do? He didn't want those races. He wanted the original race. That is what. It's not due to religion. It's not what the pastors tell you. It's got nothing to do with what God you worship, nothing to do with the fact. So then he left where? Where did he go to? Once again, to his father's house. And then he met Laban here, who was the one that was going to give his daughters, gave him two. One, he made him marry her by force, by lying to him, Leah, and the other one, which was Rachel, which is the one he wanted. Okay, but the subject is this. Jacob married Rachel because Rachel worshipped the same God? No. Neither did Laban worship the same God, because it says God of your father Abraham. He had different gods, inasmuch that they had little tiny gods of the family. Because precisely the one that Jacob fell in love with stole him from his father. And the father was so upset, he was like, who stole my gods? And Jacob's like, no one from my house ever stole a thing from you, but Jacob didn't even know. He had no idea. It's like nobody here stole from you, inasmuch that if you find somebody with it, let him die. Father-in-law started to check the whole encampment and checked for Leah. It wasn't there, and the last one was there was Rachel's, and he went to check, and Rachel, who had him, she had the idols of the father, sat on top of them. Where did she stick them? She sat on them as if she were a chicken over her little chicks, over these little statues. Difficult word. She sat on top of them, and she dared tell him, I'm on my period, father, so I can't move from here. I mean, what a liar! That is whom Jacob married. She did not worship the true God. She liked other gods. She tried to take them with her. Some are going to tell you, no, that those little statues represented the titles of property. I mean, such stupid shit that they said. They were the family idols. She took them. And to top it off, she lied, extremely lied, and didn't give them back to the father, just like that. Those are the biblical examples that they're never going to tell you. They're never going to tell you these. And from then on out, we can continue to those are the ones that I remember by memory right now. So then, what is it that Paul is saying here? Be ye not unequally yoked together with unbelievers. This text was always used in the church where I was born and raised, so as to say that it was a brutal, lethal sin to marry someone from outside of the Adventist church. Directly, my dad would not marry you, and on top of that, he would erase you from the church books. If somebody that was from the church came and said, I have a girlfriend from outside, can you marry me? On top of him not marrying you, because there was that rule, I think he erased you from the books. I can't remember, but I think he did. Or they would discipline you or something like that. You could not have any titles in the church or something because you were disobeying the word of God directly, which was theirs actually. Because what you were looking for was problems to marry somebody from outside. The same thing that Samson's parents would say, in all Israel, is there not girls for you, Samson, that you have to look for a Midianite one? What did Samson say? That's the one I like. It's the one I like. So then we've got a problem here. Because in the eternal truth, it's not the Adventist church. The Adventist church has millions of people. Many singles would go every Shabbat visiting different churches to see if they would meet other girls that they would like. They would visit. There would be camporees where thousands would go of young people. There were Adventist churches. So then it was a very wide possibility of meeting people. We're talking about millions of members. Apparently, the SDA has over 20 million members, so then it's a world that's pretty wide to choose from. So then, is there a problem because maybe you like a Catholic girl from your town with whom you got along pretty well, and she's not Adventist, so then you have the there's a little problem there. How many of you here married somebody from the Adventist church? We shouldn't even mention it. That guy, this guy. They're all here. Nelson, right, exactly, since we're mentioning everybody. Hector married a Catholic one. Haiti married a Catholic dude. And Hector, and Nelson Schneerson married another Catholic girl. There you have. Everybody was Catholic. Nobody looked in the Adventist church. I think those that looked for somebody there didn't work out well. Because no one can assure you that everything will turn out fine with those from the Adventist. Who can assure you that? No one, absolutely no one, nothing, zero. Zero possibilities that they can assure you that just because they're Adventists, it was going to turn out well. No. So then, we have a little problem because in a place where there are millions of people, in the eternal truth, we've got how many? I mean, we can count them with one hand, the singles. So then it gets a lot more difficult. And I'm not talking about just the young ones. I'm adult women, adult men that would like to meet other people. But we're so few in number. And to top it off with the rule that in order for, you can't even notice somebody from the outside. It has to be from the inside. And then it is reduced to the LVEE official Facebook group. I mean, it's almost laughable. It's almost laughable. And in that subject, I'll talk a little bit more about today. Is that the way it is? How is this today? Okay. Today I will speak about something that I've never talked about before, but it's necessary that I do so. All who are a part of the eternal truth have all the freedom of looking for people wherever they want. I want to make this very clear, because we're not Adventists, nor are we fanatics. I've never said this. I've always tried it the other way, of saying try to look for somebody that has the same faith as yours. No, I'm saying things differently. Because this group is completely reduced, and it's completely unfair if somebody comes to say, you have to look for somebody here. If you don't find it here, then stay single. Most likely you're not going to find what you need, your match. In Spanish, you understand what match is, right? The English word match, it matches. So then, I'll talk about what a match is. A match. What is it that a young man and a young girl, no matter what age they have, if you're 60 years old, doesn't matter, do they have to look for when they want to look for in a partner? Well, these are my advices, like Paul said, this is my word and not God's. But it's worth more. The one speaking here is God, and God never says anything. The one speaking here is I. When they say, this is the word of God, when did you hear the word of God? Some guy wrote something that I'm going to read to you, and it turns out that all the heroes of the Bible married with whomever they wanted. So then don't give me examples, because in the Bible there's racism. It's not that you would marry somebody of your same religion, but rather of the same race. Careful. Whether it is correct or not, that is up to everyone. I'm not going to get into that point, but the important thing in Abraham was the race, not the religion. the race, something that you'll never hear in the churches. So then, what is it that you have to look for a match? The first thing that you got to look for a match, and so that you don't make a mistake, and without any room for doubt, is that there has to be a physical match, which is an absolute attraction of both parts. That is the first thing. You can find that in the eternal truth, and very minimal possibility like that, because due to the very low quantity of people, or you'll find it outside, but there has to be a match of physical attraction. I don't believe in any couple that would say, oh, we're going to do this because we both believe the same thing. We're going to do this because there's nothing else out there, and to tell the truth, I don't want to be left alone, and it's better too than nothing. Many people get married because of that. Because my mom said it's not what I want, and it's not what attracts me. No. It's an absolute no. No matter how much the person loves God or claims to love God, because you cannot measure how much someone loves God. That doesn't matter. But what does matter is if there is a physical attraction, a brutal one, because this is chemistry. No matter what Paul says that we're going to read, that doesn't matter. Those are people that are completely out of place. The only thing that's valid is the physical attraction, not the spiritual attraction. No. If there's no physical attraction, it doesn't matter how much spirituality there is. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how much compassion you have for the person or admiration. If there's no physical attraction, sexual attraction, the couple should not exist. First point, special, the physical match. When I refer to that, I'm talking about a brutal sexual attraction. 2, the match is only a match when it's according to our own rules. And what are they? It could be many. The ones that your mom gave you, the ones that your mom gave you, the ones that you gave yourself, the ones that you need biologically, the ones that your body needs to get over certain things, and your body will tell you. Your body will tell you. So then, within all the possibilities there are, never marry with somebody that you're doubtful that whether you like them or not. Directly, you don't like them. When you're in front of a match, you won't doubt whether they like you or not. There's no possibility of saying, maybe I'll like them in the future. I know that if I work her and work him and we do a great effort, we're going to like each other. No, it doesn't work that way. There has to be, in the moment of when you meet the person, there has to be a physical, brutal attraction, and there has to be a match according to what we wait for. I'll give an example. Nobody mistake this. Nobody take it in a wrong way. They're going to take it in the wrong way. They're going to take it in the wrong way. Okay, you're going to take this extremely wrong. I was taught, I'll say it like that, I was taught that races should not mix, period. That's what they taught me. That is the information I've got. That you have to make a match even in the skin. That is what they taught me. I cannot take out, well, I could take out if I want to, but there is different types of matches, different informations and rules that they have given us. So then, the first one is the races cannot be mixed. And when I talk about races, I'm also talking about the cultures. They're not to be mixed. They're not to be mixed. They're not to be mixed. I've seen many, I'll say things that are nasty, okay, for some. As an Argentinian, I would never marry somebody from a different race that is not Argentinian. No, I cannot. Personally, I cannot. Personally, no matter how much food they want to make me, I can't. My match is somebody that speaks exactly the way I do. That's what I was taught when I was little. Since I was tiny, they raised me that way. Others don't have a problem with that. It's Argentinian and married some Salvadorian. And they speak differently and they make a perfect match. That's fine. But that is the information that they have personally. That's what I'm saying. Personal rules. You understand me? I'm not making rules for you. I'm saying that there are personal rules. Some have that. Some are open completely. An American marries, that speaks English marries a Mexican girl. And they say that they have a good match. Do you believe in that match? It's difficult. It's difficult. I mean, I'm referring to the cultures that are so different. One does not speak Spanish and they have to learn kind of like that. Another one doesn't speak English, they have to learn like that. There are people that desire that, and yeah, well, they try to get along. In my mind, it doesn't enter because I have different information. You understand what I'm saying? Are you taking this well, what I'm saying? So then there are different rules. Right, as Leslie says, it's a different attraction, and the rules is what makes the attraction. If you have the rules of the races very engraved in you, there's no attraction to a different race. There isn't. You understand what I'm saying? It depends what you have up here. It depends what was placed in the child as a little and what you placed yourself there. There's others that have a rule that they have to marry with a beautiful woman. And they don't even look at the ugly ones. They don't exist. Just like that, they don't exist. They can pass by and they can be so religious and good women, and it's like they don't exist. Because the match is a beautiful woman, period. Or with green eyes, maybe. If you don't have green eyes, then you lost. That's it. You're out of there. If you have that rule, burned with fire, there's no match. Unless you delete that rule. Do you understand what I'm saying? What I'm trying to say is something real. It's absolutely real. Maybe in your homes they never spoke about this and everybody marries like a little animal with whatever. No. When you teach your children, you give them certain information depending what information they place in your mind. Rich people teach their children that poor people are not a good match, and they're not a good match. Do you understand that? It's not a good match. There you have it. Different status levels. It's not a good match. There are exceptions, but generally, one that was married in a poor home does not have the mind of somebody that was raised in the house of someone rich. So generally, a rich man with a poor woman, there's more of a match because the man has the patience of teaching her, of giving her. But backwards, a rich woman with a poor man, you're gonna always see him like a wretched fool in her mind. A wretched fool. Because he has a smaller mind, poor. So then take this in the best. I'm speaking to you like friends, okay? Depending on what match there is, absolutely what physical match do you have? So then I spoke about races, I spoke about cultures. Cultures, maybe a Salvadorian and a Mexican cannot even see each other, and they'll never be able to see each other. But it does work for some. I cannot give you like a general rules that the Mexicans and the Salvadorians are going to get along. I can't say that. If there are exceptions, that's something else. The Colombian women with the Mexican men. There are exceptions, but maybe they don't get along that well because the difference is it's so great. It's so great. I'm telling you that there is nothing like what Abraham and Jacob did. Look for somebody from there. But the religion, fuck the religion, get someone from over there. See, that is what the Bible says. That is what the Bible says. Okay, moving on. Now comes the most important match of them all, in my point of view. Because you can like the physical attraction, you can like the information that you have. If you like a brunette, then a blonde will never match for you because you want a brunette, and that's it. It's over. If that is in your mind and in your information, you're not going to be attracted with a blonde. You're not. Absolutely not. You could like one or not, but your match is something else that you have in your mind. Some that like for women to have a good ass. If she has no ass, then forget it. If someone that looks like she got hit with a board from behind, she could be the most religious one and you just ignore her. Because in your mind, a woman has to have a good behind, or else there's no attraction. So then that's something that you have to have clear. You can't just look for whatever. No, you have to clearly know what you like, what you like. You can't make a mistake, because if you make a mistake, you're going to suffer. And it's most likely that if you don't know what to choose, you'll make a mistake. You may, oh, I wish I wanted what did you wanted. You should have wrote them down what you wanted. Many things here. And I'm just talking about bodies, physically, about the culture. I spoke about the races. I spoke about the skin. I spoke about the money side, education, and all the things that come with that. Okay. But the most important of them all comes here. Most important for you to make sure for yourselves, and there's nothing certain in this life, because how many couples in the eternal truth got married with people in the eternal truth and they got divorced? I don't want to start mentioning, but there's many. Oh, we matched. They're both from LVE, so what? Not some time later, they got divorced. How terrible, right? Brutal, brutal that they left. They had children with someone else. No, I mean, let's not even mention it. There's no certainty whatsoever, none whatsoever, but what I'm telling you now, there's a better chance that it'll go well with you. Now, since we already know that in the eternal truth, it's difficult to find anything because there isn't anything, then we have to widen the search to all the world, because this whole earth is ours. It's all ours. That about it, oh, only from here, like with a horse. No, forget that ideology. Go and look for wherever you may find to be happy without losing your ideology, of course. And if you lose it, it's because you didn't belong here. If a woman comes and she takes you to a different ideology, then you deserve it. You never belonged here, because if you did, no one would take you there, nor a woman nor a man. This is what's important, a match according to our ideologies and beliefs. What is that? Do they have to have listened to Christian Silva for years? No, none whatsoever. Not at all. Not at the very least. Not even once, but when one speaks, that's why there is friendship, to start to develop that friendship. When one speaks with people, you have to notice what there is in their heads. Their physical attraction could be great, but if your head does not match with you, forget it. Don't waste your time with that. Go next. How beautiful are these flowers? These that Leslie always puts up here, which are sunflowers. And those precious red ones, I mean, they're not red, they're pink with white. What are those? What are those? Nah, those are not margaritas. They look like margaritas, yeah, they do, but the margaritas are yellow. It looks like those that says, she likes me not. They may look like margaritas, maybe, but a different color. It's very pretty. Many thank you to the Roblero lineage. I always forget to thank you, but okay. To this little couple here of Neo and Trinity, what united them? All the things that I said, the physical part, when they saw each other, they loved what they saw completely. The race, same race. The culture, same culture, or not. And ideology, same ideology. They matched. There's no other form of making a match, in my opinion, okay? You can throw this video into the garbage can, do whatever you want. This is just my opinion that I'm giving to make your life a lot easier in what it means to have a couple, a partner. In the Adventist church, my rule was of, look, well, I had so many rules I'm not going to talk about, I just gave you examples, just examples. But pretty much what you see here is the rules that I had. Yes, obviously, if you don't believe it. But the last thing that I cared about was if she was religious and if she loved God. She had to be an Adventist by name, but she had to be sexy enough and rebellious, or else she would have moved not one hair on me. Leslie would not make me fall in love that we were all praying to God. No, not that. That what made me fall in love with her is that being both Adventist, she used to like music, for example. The prohibited music, I like that. Or else, if she would listen to Heralds of the King, I wouldn't even look at her. Being an Adventist, I liked how rebellious she was in the way she dressed. Ellen G. White said no pants, and she would wear pants tighter couldn't be. The form that she had is what I liked. Her pants seemed painted on. If she would have been one of those that wears those long dresses like a nun, I wouldn't even look at her. Because my ideal woman is what I was looking for. Under the facade of Adventist. And later on when I saw her with jewelry, I said, oh no, she's for me. Because she was those types of Adventists that were rebellious, that don't even care about the church. That's the one that I want. That's the one I want, pretty much. Leslie was like that. She saw the most rebellious Adventist guy that she's ever seen. And she says that's what she fell in love with. If I had been some guy that was always praying all day with my Bible under the arm. Hello, Sister Leslie, how are you? Even with the same personality as mine, how am I gonna make her fall in love? I mean, not even drunk, as they say down here. Nothing. She saw rebelliousness. That was a match for her. Or else there wouldn't have been any match there. Is that clear? What does that have anything to do with the religiousness of both of us? Being Adventist was just a facade, a front. You understand what I'm saying? Leslie here states that they both had many inner values. Well, that of course, but you couldn't see them much. They could only tell if they would speak with us, but just in plain sight. What value had I in the sight of others? They wanted to send me to jail on a permanent basis. The values of the son of Pastor Silva. How are you going to marry that Indian, is what they told you. What are the principles? That's right, but what Leslie says is very true. Within all of that, when there is chemistry, that's what you see the principles. Of course, what Leslie says, it's very valuable, but sometimes you can't see that. You have to develop a friendship in order to barely then see the true values through the tag, the presentation facade they show you. Very well. So then, what am I referring to that we have to have a match in the ideology and beliefs? I'll tell it to you up front. A free mind. That's what's important. A free mind. Not subject to the lies of this world. The most important subject is not that you worship the God of the eternal truth. No, not at all. Not at all. I'll repeat this again. The most important point is not that they worship the God that the eternal truth worships, that I worship, that you worship, because that is personal to know God. That is why the Bible talks about the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. Who knows what God they had in their mind? That is not what matters. Rebecca did not worship the same God as Isaac. Evidently, Rachel didn't worship the same one as Jacob. That's evident. Evident. So then, what is it that matters? Right now, what matters is to have a free mind. And the most important subject that could give you an idea of how free is the mind of the person is called flat earth. Believe it or not. The flat earth is so much more important than for a person to have accepted in God. I prefer a flat earth atheist that there's almost none, because if it's flat, because there's a creator, or a Christian that believes in the globe and you can't get her out of there. No, you fuck off with your piece of shit Christianity and Trinity. In fact, let's see if you understand my words. It's very important. The subject of the flat earth is superior to whatever other subject in this world right now. Its only equal would be that of the divine medicine. But he that accepts flat earth accepts whatever else that they prove to him that is true. That is the secret. It's a key. If you believe in a globe, you're a stupid idiot. Nobody will take you from there. You continue to be a stupid idiot until you break away from that. The day in which the mind breaks away from that happened to all of us. When our mind broke away with the globe, your mind is left in a state of freedom in order to analyze and see and study other possibilities, whatever else. Because already if this world lied to you and that you don't believe anymore about that, and the next thing is the witches. It's automatic. It's automatic. No one that believes in the flat earth really believes in the witches. No one that really believes in flat earth received the mark. No. Because it is an absolute key that opens the mind. When flat earth enters your mind, Babylon falls. Because it's all been a lie. Since you were little, they put globes, globes, and globes, and globes into your mind. That has fallen. What else are you going to believe? If you don't believe NASA and you see it as something ridiculous, you don't believe scientists either. And the scientists are the same that have to do with witchcraft. Pharmakeia, for those who don't know what I'm referring to when I say witchcraft. Pharmakeia is the same business. NASA, Pharmakeia. Same thing. Same deceit. When that is a fundamental subject, so then within the prospects you look at, because I'm opening your mind so that you look for people outside to be free. Present to them not God. Don't present God. Everybody knows about God. Oh yeah, you're Christian. Yeah, I'm Christian. No, but I want to tell you that the Trinity doesn't exist. No, that's worthless. Present to them that the globe doesn't exist. If the prospect that you like says, nah, you're too crazy, you're a conspiracy theorist, not even if I were crazy, and they laugh at you in your face, it's the moment to never speak to that person again. It's a lot more important than God. It's first and principle and main where you live in. Just like that, I'm telling it to you like that. And of course, you've never heard this anywhere else because no one will speak to you like this. The pastors are all globeheads. Aside from that, and I'm telling to you right now, 2022, not 10 years ago, right now, you that are from the eternal truth, how should you look for someone outside? If the person or the prospect is a globehead, teach them the subject of the eternal truth and see how their mind reacts to that. If they accept it and understand something, go into depth into that, not into something else. Go into depth into that in the flat earth. And then all of a sudden you jump to the next one, the divine medicine. Exactly. With those two subjects, it's so simple to accept the God that you love and worship. It's easy. It's extremely easy. But never present God first because everybody believes in God already and it's already burned subject and it's worthless. Leslie here asks, what if he's an atheist? Flat earth. And no atheist will believe in a flat earth. They said, hold on, that means that some son of a bitch created us. Atheist, no, hold on. I want to explain to what Leslie just said. I want to finish that. I want to finish with that thought. No, there doesn't exist any atheists that believe in flat earth. The atheists believe in the Big Bang. So then, if you look for an atheist and you make him believe flat earth, they leave the Big Bang, evolution, they believe in a creator. There's no turn of the page. And no matter what creator created us, could be a son of a bitch that created us, that doesn't matter. But he believes that somebody created us. We did not evolve. I mean, so then the subject of atheism ends with flat earth. It ends there. That's why it's so important. Never marry someone that does not believe in flat earth. From here on out, from what you know, don't marry them because that'll be a disaster. And aside from that, you're already testing their mind if it's fertile for the change or not. If they have a mind that can understand the truth, they have to understand flat earth. It is, I'll repeat this again, it is so much more important than God. So much more. Because you're going to find millions of Christians and they're all globeheads. Try to get them out of there. You don't get them out of there. You can't change their mind, but you can't change the Trinity out of them. You can't. So then, okay, I'll move on. I'll move on. So then, when the scripture says, be ye not unequally yoked together with unbelievers, already apply it not to your religion, but rather what an unbeliever is. An unbeliever is someone which does not believe in flat earth. Tell it to your front. An unbeliever is someone that does not believe in the divine medicine, Germanic. That's an unbeliever, not he that does not believe in God. Don't look at it that way, because it doesn't work that way. They're all going to say, I believe in God. And if they're atheist, you're not going to make them believe in God unless they understand what flat earth is. It's such a fundamental subject. That subject opened our minds. It opened our minds. To everything else that we know now. Absolutely. It's incredible. That's why I'm telling you, go out and look for couples, those who want to, outside, but do teach them flat earth. If the people accept that, then they're willing to accept immediately what the Germanic medicine is. And lastly, our Creator, you grab them like that quickly. It's so easy, naturally. So then, that is what it is precisely. Be ye not unequally yoked together. If those people do not understand this, which is basic, do not get yoked, because it'll be a mistake. And aside from that, I don't know if I'm expressing myself correctly. When you accept the flat earth, you see what type of brain they've got, what type of a soul. If it's a closed soul, a square one, you don't want that to get married. You want someone that is willing to see a truth past what they thought was truth. If the person is closed-minded to think that science that was taught to them is right, don't ever look at that person again. That's an unbeliever. That's what an unbeliever is. That's why it's so important when I'm teaching you now. Flat earth measures what capacity your mind has of changing, what capacity your brain has of learning new things, crazy things, completely contrary to everything else, because flat earth is completely contrary to everything that was taught. If they're capable to change to that, or if they already have that, wow, that's a fabulous candidate, so that they learn everything else. And they don't have to learn it right away. But you already have a person that thinks, a person that doesn't eat up everything from the Babylonian science. It's clear for you. Do you understand what I'm explaining today? Because I don't want you to reduce yourselves to look for people within when there's a whole lot of other places for you to look for. To make sure he's not pricked, Angelina says that he's not marked, Angelina said. But of course, it was the next point that I had here. If he's already a marked person, why do you want somebody that's marked? Even if they're attractive, you can just eliminate them from the mind. Are you marked? Are you marked? Bye. Absolutely. Because what's going to happen to those that are marked? Oh, well, what happened in Seoul the other day? That hundreds of people died, just like that truck. All of a sudden, and they say that it was a stampede when, I'm not going to talk about that because I don't want for this video to be taken down, but the people start to have suddenness everywhere. So then the mark is, it must be for an LVE for us, a mark to say you're an idiot. But I didn't know. That's it, you're an idiot, that's it. I mean, that's it, out with you. One of the first questions is, hey, how are you doing? Are you marked? Yeah, that's it. Okay, that's it. It's all you already know. Just a random person like that. A great X. Red flag. If they're not marked, then you can move on to, if you become friends with some person. Before you tell them that you like them or about God, don't speak to them about God. Speak to them about flat earth. Speak to them about Germanic medicine. Speak to them about that. That if by experience you'll see that the person, if they're the closed ones, they're gonna run away from you quickly. You're a conspiracy theorist. The subject already gets tangled up in a place that they don't want to go to. You understand that? So then, right, of course, first question, if they have the mark. That was good, Angelina. If they have the mark. If they already have the mark, then bye, that's it, they're marked. We're not looking for marked people. It won't come out with anything, not with chloride, nothing. So then if they have that mark, bye, just like that, very well, very good. So then, today is a day in which, what time is it? Okay, we have some time. 12:30. Okay, today is a very special day because I'm giving the possibility to all the youth and not so young single adults to go out and look into the world. The world is yours. The world is ours. The point is to know where to look. Don't stay with that, oh, are they baptized in the name of Yeshua? Forget about that stupid shit. Go and look for your match wherever, but remember, they have to be a perfect match. Physically, a perfect match with your beliefs and your own laws. Whatever they might be, mind you, whatever they might be. I don't have any problem if you get married. I want to clarify this. I am not against that you marry with someone with a different culture. I don't have any problem with that. The ones that are going to get married are the others. If it were for me, then I would have a problem, but it's not my rule, but yours, so then I'm not, it's whatever rule you have. I don't have a problem if you marry different races. I don't have a problem with that. I don't have any problem with it. You're the one getting married. I already got married. I don't have any problem with it. The problem, you would have it if you have that rule and you violate it. If you don't have it, that's perfect. I mean, that'd be great. There's a lot more things, a lot to choose here in the field of the Lord, and it's all the earth. Now, don't tell me that the youth right now are not liking what they're listening to. Or are they shocked? Maybe they're shocked. They're like, but Ellen G. White said. Leslie here states that there are many desperate who are going to run out looking for someone. Ellen G. White said. Okay, so then, so that you don't say that the eternal truth is fanatical. No, there's no fanaticism here. We own the world. Now, we know that some are marked and others aren't. We know that the 66.6% are marked, and it's going to a certain destiny, and the other percent goes to a different destiny. We know that, and it comes soon, so then it draweth nigh, so then don't wait till the millennium like I told you last Shabbat. Start to look wherever, but be intelligent, but teach them. Teach them, I already told you, flat earth, divine medicine, and in the end, God, just like that, the last thing. Very well. We're going to read Paul's point of view. And this time, I'm going to strongly criticize Mr. Paul. That point of view of Paul's that I believe that in the greatest majority of all his points, he's wrong, and I'll highlight it. It is crazy to say what he said, and I could care less to correct Paul or whomever. Let's go to 1 Corinthians 7, 1 through 40, which in the Bible they titled Marriage Problems. Precisely, we're talking about this here, about this little couple. Remember this little couple. It's a good match, mind you. It's interesting, right? What I've just told you. For me, it's a very interesting match. Very interesting. Very important to have a perfect match. Very well. So Paul says, he's writing a letter to the church of Corinthians and says to them, now concerning the things whereof ye wrote unto me. So then, as it turns out, the members of that church had written to Paul a whole bunch of things, asking about marriage and all the rest. Now concerning the things whereof ye wrote unto me, it is good for a man not to touch a woman. And already we have Paul's first mistake. How's Paul going to say some stupid shit like this? Paul, I'm going to say, since he's talking about stupid shit, I'll say stupid shit, and I care less. In my opinion, Paul was gay. He was a repressed gay. And why am I saying that? Because all the rabbis are gay. They're all sons of bitches gay. When he says that he learned at the feet of Gamaliel, he was very close to the feet of Gamaliel. I don't know what he did to Gamaliel, but he studied at the very feet of Gamaliel, playing the flute, of course, while Gamaliel will read the Torah to them. I mean, they're sons of bitches like that. So then don't laugh at what I'm saying. Paul, in my opinion, was gay, and when he tried to really save himself, he repressed himself. So then only a gay person could say this. It is good for a man not to touch a woman, but Paul, then what do we touch a man then? Gamaliel's shotgun, is that what we have to touch? What do you have to touch? Tell me, what should we touch? Because it is a proven fact that you did touch Timothy's gun when you circumcised it. Did he touch it or not? And the Jew says that after cutting, they have to suck the blood, because I'm not playing here. They say so. In fact, the rabbi, when they cut the baby, they have to, with their own mouth, suck. I mean, it's a right. So then Timothy was already pretty grown. But Paul's like, look, Timothy, the rules is rules. No wonder he felt so much pressure to circumcise Timothy. He says, I'm sorry, exactly. He says, but the Jews, I'll circumcise them, says Paul. Wow, he's like, it is good for a man not to touch a woman. You gotta be a son of a bitch to say that when man has been created to touch a woman. I mean, just look at Freud, who was a genius, in my opinion. He was Jewish, complete genius. The entire system of a man's mind and of a woman is sexual. So then how are they going to tell me? Of course, this is what we got the Catholic Church to say that a man should not get married. And the first fathers, they even cut their testicles off. They would become eunuchs, and women would be nuns. Poor people. Paul, what he wrote was shameful. He said, good it is for a man not to touch a woman. What is Paul saying if it's the only good things in life that there is? It is something that Elohim created. Who created an orgasm? Paul. Who created the match of a man and a woman? Who created that passion that when it is well used and with the right match, it burns? How can someone dare say it is good for a man not to touch a woman? What Paul here says makes no sense under any aspect. He wouldn't say anything. He would just shut his mouth. Just like I would shut Armando's mouth when he would try to give us advice about children. One that has never had children, he has to shut his ass up. Just shut the fuck up. Even if he has good ideas, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Why? Because you don't know what it is to have children. You have to have had. He would also talk to us about marriages when he had already failed in one. And he would try to give us advice. How's the son of a bitch like that going to give us any advice? Well, I can't believe it. The only one that could give any advice is a guy like me, who married once, who stays married to a spectacular level, who has children, and super well raised, so that I'm in the position to give all the advices that I could want. If I were to get divorced, then forget it. Don't listen to one more advice of mine. What am I going to teach? That it was her fault. And I also, of course, I was not forced to get married. I was not married last year. It'll be 32 years of marriage. Right, as Leslie says, some people have 50 years of tolerance. So then they have built upon tolerance. No, that's not my case. Absolutely, that's not my case. So then the only one, no, I'm not the only one. There's a lot like me, but the only ones that have any rights of speaking about children, about marriages, are those that have a well-established marriage. That didn't abandon any woman. They didn't get married by force because they got her pregnant. Those who did not have a disorderly life, those are the only ones that can speak whether they like it or not. The rest, shut your mouth, just like that. Paul should shut his mouth. I could care less who Paul was. I could give a fuck who Paul was. But at this point, he shouldn't even give his opinion. And he gives his opinion. And his opinion is that of a gay. Wrong. Wrong. Good for a man not to touch a woman, he says. You're a son of a bitch, Paul. There's another word. To top it off, gay. Nevertheless, to avoid fornication, Paul. Oh, hold on, Paul. What do you mean to avoid fornication? If the problem of a woman being touched by a man and they get married because of fornication, it's because it's a need. It's like saying it'd be good for a person to not go to the bathroom, but due to all the shits that he has to go, then, okay, he has to go. It's a stupid shit at the same level. It'd be good for a man not to urinate, but due to the pain that it produces in the bladder to retain the liquid, then, well, go and urinate. That is what Paul is saying. stupid shit. But due to the fornications, let every man have his own wife. No, Paul, no. It's not due to that I got married. I didn't get married to not fornicate. I didn't get married due to fornication. Paul is an imbecile, and I will tell him to his face and grab him to punch him in the face because of this. I'd call him gay, and he said, yeah, you're right, Christian. But he says that I got married to avoid fornication. But is this what the Bible says? No, the idiot of Paul says that to avoid fornication, let every man have his own wife. And let every woman have her own husband. Absolutely in disagreement with what Paul says because he was gay. And we did not get married to avoid fornication. We got married because we wanted to live together forever. What Paul is saying is not what Yahweh says. Yahweh says that a man leaves his father and mother and unites to his woman to be one flesh, not to avoid fornication. And a man shall cleave unto his woman to avoid fornication. Is that what the Bible says? No, it doesn't. We have been designed to be one. We're designed, and we have to experience that. In fact, a person does not get to their maximum if they don't get married. There is no possibility. That's why Paul would speak the way he would speak. And that's why I speak the way I speak, because Paul, aside from the fact he was gay, he didn't have a woman to control him. Because maybe his woman would read that letter and say, Paul, how the fuck are you going to write that? So then Paul would say, no, you're right, I can't write that. Now, what should I write? Tell him it's a privilege to get married, that it's a blessing to get married, that Yahweh made us a man and a woman to get married, and that we learn together. Write that, you idiot. Not that about that to avoid for... I have another replacement, but give me that one. I bought more of the fat pencils. I like fat pencils. Paul says I do too. That of Gamaliel, the people must be embarrassed, but that's the way I am, so that's the way it is. So there you go. Let's go ahead and sharpen it. Pablito nailed a nail. How many nails did Pablito nail? Oh, it's been a long time since I've said that. Pablito nailed a nail. How many nails did Pablito nail? Gotta say it as fast as possible. Fast as possible. Pablito sucked a nail. How many nails did Pablito suck? At Gamaliel's feet. Gamaliel was very happy, let me tell you. Now in a way he said that Torah, I do count it but dung. Now I get it, now I get it. He rebelled against everything in its teachings. Right, Pablito got nailed down. How many times did Pablito get nailed down? Okay. Christians must be... Is there already 6 thumbs down in the previous one? Okay, they went overboard. Now I don't even want to know because there are some Christians that are shocked. Well, let's check it. Are there likes? At least any likes before I start? I wanted to check how many likes are there before... Oh, but those are so few. Let's see if those 229 go up, or else we'll just wrap it up and go into the wedding of the kids here. Yeah, every time it is less. I understand. Who wants to listen to... who wants to listen to this? The people want to listen to what's easy. Absolutely, what is soft. I have no thumbs down up until now. Incredible. For now. I just got 2 while I was speaking. 2 thumbs down. Maybe some other gay. Let's see how many 2 gays said that they disagree with what was said about Paul. 2 gays. Now I've got 2 gays listening. 2 thumbs down right now. 2 thumbs down. 2 thumbs down once and for all. A bunch of gays hitting to like what Paul says. And they disagree with what I just taught about what the matches are. Very well. Very well. So then Paul says, now concerning the things whereof ye wrote unto me, it is good for a man not to touch a woman. Nevertheless, to avoid fornication, let every man have his own wife, And let every woman have her own husband. Let the husband render unto, let unto the wife the due benevolence. Let the husband render unto the wife due benevolence. And likewise also the wife unto the husband. That one, that's number 10 right there. That's a 10. What, 4 dislikes? Yeah, because I called him gay. And now I've got 4 gays. Now we've got 4 gays. Oh, well, if the gays are going up in number, I'm sorry. I really lament it. I could give a fuck. Why are 4 gays listening to me? Maybe they like me. And as Leslie say, we're going to find out exactly, obviously. We'll know about everything, so then put your dislikes and thumbs down. Continue to add your thumbs down. Very well. So then, maybe they didn't like about the rules, but I talked about rules that everyone else has a different rules. Everyone has whatever they have inside. Very well, so then Paul says, let the husband render unto the wife due benevolence. So then what is due benevolence? I can understand he's saying have sex. That's what he's saying. And likewise also the wife unto the husband. That's get along, love each other. It says have sex, what it's saying. Have intercourse. And that's fine, absolutely fine, but I don't see the need to add that here. If he meant it well, then I'll give him a 10. He said it well. Have sexual relations. That's why you got married. Number 4. The wife hath not power of her own body, but the husband. And likewise also the husband hath no power of his own body, but the wife. Another stupid shit he said. It's the first time I say this. How the fuck is a guy gonna say that when you get married you lose power over your own body? I understand that if you look for the nicer side, say, no, what Paul's saying is that the power is that he's not going to look for pleasure outside of his wife. So then, because the pleasure can only have it with his wife. But it's not what Paul's saying. Paul says, the woman hath no power over her own body. She cannot own her own body. With her own body, she can do many things. To get dressed the way she wants. To eat whatever she wants. To introduce into herself whatever she wants. And to have pleasure wherever she wants. That is to have power over her own body. And to do whatever she wants. Play. Work. To spend time having fun with herself. Whatever she wants. According to Paul, it says that she loses that whole power and the woman will do whatever the husband allows her to do. You're going to dress like this because you have power over your body. You're going to work on this and do this and that because you're my slave. That's what it is. If I lose power over my own body, then I'm a slave of the other, and that is what marriage is. I'm a slave of my wife and my wife is my slave. No, I am in complete disagreement with this. Absolutely. We never lose power over our own body. We're going to rather share our power, which is different, but I'm not going to give the power of my body unto my wife. That would be the biggest mistake, to have a whole bunch of DHSs. I'll tell it to you up front. And if my wife gives me her power unto me, it's only to destroy her entirely. So then the stupid shit that Paul says here, it's even greater. The woman does not have power over her own body. That's a stupid shit. Of course she does. She should have it and does not lose it when she gets married. Doesn't lose it. She gains that she's going to share that power with another, but not that she hands it over. And it says, but the husband, what? The husband has power? No, that's a lie. That's a lie. No, and a single person tells me that, you got to be a real son of a bitch. You see that when I say, if somebody has the right to speak, shouldn't speak. Who the fuck is Paul to come and tell me how a marriage should get along if he was single and he says that they got married due to fornication and he's going to say, no, don't get married. That's what Paul's going to tell me. Don't get married. Nor doth the husband have power over his own body but the woman. That's a lie. An absolute lie. I have 100% power over my own body. And Leslie has 100% power over her own body. She does whatever she wants, and I do whatever I want. And we both, since we love each other, we do things together. But I didn't take the power from her. If I were to take it away, which sometimes there could be impositions, then there could be problems. Not us. I'm referring to all of marriage. The husband says, you got to do this. He says, why do I have to do it? Because you're my wife. I'm your power over you. So then there are things that if we were to listen to Paul, we would take 100% of the power, not just a little bit. 100%. Wow. That's tremendous. Just like that, tremendous. I don't think anybody has ever spoken about this. 5. Defraud ye not one the other. He's going to say another stupid shit. Defraud ye not one to other. Talking about sex. I mean, that it'll pass, obviously. But if they got married, well, then he shouldn't have to write this. No. I defraud her. Okay, that's fine. Somebody has to listen to this. That's fine. Defraud ye not to have sex with one another, except it be with consent for a time. Except it be with consent for a time, that ye may give yourselves to fasting and prayer. Okay, careful with this. I was thinking about this for a long time. He's not saying have sex, and let's stop for 10 minutes for prayer, and then we go back to have sex. No, it doesn't work that way. What Paul's saying here is something even more serious. Paul's saying is, live together, do not defraud ye not one another. But there are times where you have to separate it, I don't know, a month, just as, spiritually so. It says mutual consent. That's why it says mutual consent. I'm going to go somewhere because I need to be alone with God. And the woman says, me too. I need to be with God. Or with, I'm not going to say anything. Be with God, and I need the presence of Jesus within me. Alone. Another one says the same thing. I also need the presence of the Father alone. So then, that time, he's not talking about 10 minutes or days, talking about that they would separate each other. These sons of bitches. I stopped to think about this. It says, defraud ye not one the other, except it be with consent for a time. It's not 5 minutes, not a day, it's more time. Of mutual consent for a time, that ye may give yourself to fasting. It says, let's separate ourselves for a time unto fasting and prayer, and come together again. That Satan tempt you not. Another stupid shit. How is Satan going to tempt you if it's Elohim himself? Paul, if you think that Satan is another being, you are very stupid. And you never understood the Godhead. We agree with that. I've already said that. Paul did not understand the Godhead in whatsoever. What is Paul good for? Just to say that the Torah is no good. That is the only thing which Yeshua used him for, nothing else. But he's no good for anything else. That Satan tempt you not for your incontinency. He's not talking about 5 minutes, but rather about a time of incontinency. Exactly. It's not that he goes to work for 8 hours, comes back, or he sleeps in the car to pray. Oh no. It's talking about a time when they would separate each other. Look, I'm going to go to a spiritual retirement, 3 or 4 weeks. I'm going to go to pray for a month in the mountain to look for, just like Moses, for 40 days and 40 nights. I'm going to go and pray in the mountain, and the woman, then they would separate each other. But Paul says, do not separate each other so much that Satan tempt you not. Another separation would be, I'm going to go to the US of A to work. Exactly. You know how that destroys the homes. Wow, I mean, it's automatic. It's like I'm leaving so I can sustain here. I'll go to a different country. I mean, wow, it's tremendous. I don't even want to go into that because there are lots of you in that, and you know the brutal mistake that is. So then, what is Paul saying here? He's saying to not separate each other for a long time, but he's saying that, yeah, they can separate each other to go into prayer. I disagree with that. Prayer is on a permanent basis, if I'm with my wife or not. Prayer is a communication with Yahweh. I don't have to throw myself on the ground for hours to have a conversation with him. I don't even have to be alone to have a relationship with Yahweh. The church, we have this a permanent basis. You have to have now, while I'm speaking, while I'm preaching, while I'm speaking, I could have it on a permanent basis. So then, There is time of study, there is time in which you want tranquility, but it's not for days, it's just moments of the day. So then I should not even mention that. It's obvious, right? It's obvious. But what Paul's saying is stupid shit. He's saying, yeah, go ahead and separate each other, but then get together again, not for so long that Satan may tempt you. He fucked it up with Satan because Satan does not exist. Satan is you, it is I, it is the wickedness inside. But I speak this by permission. Another stupid shit. What's he gonna give us permission? You're no one to give us any permission. Who the fuck are you? But I speak this by permission, not by commandment. I mean, it's not by commandment. I'm giving it to you by permission. No, you're no one to give us any permission. Absolutely. You lived 2,000 years ago, and your mind, as a gay person, never understood shit about what a couple is. So then I could care less, not your permission, your commandment. 7. For I would that all men were even as I myself. What a son of a bitch. This is why he's given us permission. He would wish that all men were gay. But look at what he says. For I, that who are you to say? I mean, if we had listened to this son of a bitch 2,000 years ago, there wouldn't be any men, nor any women. Everybody would be gay. Because he says, for I, that all men were even as myself. That's why Yahweh cut his head off. Another son of a bitch. And I'm saying symbolically because he died supposedly. No, they did cut his head off, right? Supposedly. Right, Peter was crucified. Okay, this guy got his head cut off. He deserved it. Deserved it because he was gay and writing stupid shit. And for going to Jerusalem and for doing sacrifices and for purifying himself with the gay guys because they were all men. He loved that. That's why he went to get purified. He shaved his head and he went to get purified. They were kind of naked there in the bath, purifying themselves. That is the idea of Paul. That's why cut his head off with his head, the son of a bitch. That's what happened. They cut his head. Why? Because he was a son of a bitch. So then he says, this guy says, for I would that all men were even as myself. Wow, what a son of a bitch. I don't want to look like this guy. Not at all in anything to Paul. But every man hath his proper gift of God. One after this manner and another after that. The only manner that you had of God is to be gay. And repressed, rather, because after speaking with Gamaliel and Timothy, you repressed yourself. Because what other option did you have? That's the thorn in the flesh. He had the thorn. He had a bigger thorn, but the thorn was in the flesh, not a thorn. He wanted something bigger to nail him down. They said because he was blind. No, it was because he could not practice what he wanted to practice. So then he had the thorn deep inside him. Deep in the flesh. Deep in the flesh. Exactly, there's no turn of the page. Because normal men cannot say some stupid shit like that. Normal men cannot say, it'd be great that you wouldn't get married. Why? But you're not a real man if you don't get married. You're not. You're not a real man if you cleave not unto a woman. And you know not what it is to cleave unto a woman. And not to enjoy with a woman. You're not a real man. You have to learn to be choosing my words here. Choosing my words. The one I was going to use is to. You have to learn to enjoy a woman. And not just for you to enjoy. To enjoy, or else you're not a man. You're just a beast. But Paul will be outside of all the measures of what it is to be a man. Of what it is as how Yahweh created us. For I would rather that all men were even as myself. But every man hath his proper gift of God, one after this manner, and another after that. No, we're not all gay, Paul, and you're telling me you're lying to me. I don't believe in any gift. I'm going to say this. I do not believe in any gift of incontinency of men, because that would go against Germanic medicine. The basic one. The man needs sexual relations. He needs them. If he doesn't have them, he starts to have all kinds of DHSs. There's lots of different ways that this can affect you, which in English are known under different names. For example, blue balls. Blue balls is when the balls start to get blue, because what has to come out does not come out. So then they start to get wet dreams, which should not exist, but that's the valve when something's about to explode. Oh, and blue balls also mean sad balls. Because to be blue is to be sad. The balls are sad. And if the balls are sad, you don't want to know how the prostate's going to react later and everything else. No, you don't want to. I mean, and aside from the fact that if it's not used, your testosterone starts to go down. I mean, it's so many things. Well, and when you go into everything that's sexual, if a man, as they say, if you don't use it, you lose it. If you don't use it, you lose it. But you don't just lose that, you lose your masculinity, a whole bunch of things. That's why Paul, I don't know what the fuck he's saying. Tell you the truth, I don't know how he dared. Yeshua must have laughed about all the stupid shit he wrote here. Okay, I'll read again. It says, he says, for I would that all men were even as myself. No, Paul, you're wrong. But every man hath his proper gift of God, one after this manner, and another after that. That's a lie. I don't believe in incontinency. It does not exist. It does not exist. In fact, Origins and all the rest, supposed fathers of the church, would end up castrating themselves because they couldn't take it any longer. In fact, they thought they had demons inside. Because a man gets to a point, due to the need of a man, when he starts to need, and every time it gets greater and greater and greater, anything will do. Just like that. I'll repeat that again. Anything will do. But that right there, you'll never hear from the pastors because they're sons of bitches because they think they're saints. That's a lie. I speak to you as a man. A man, when he has the urge, he forgets about who created him, about everything. That is why I don't believe in the incontinency of a man, and that is why I believe in when you're single, you have to self-pleasure yourself. If you don't do so, you become crazy or a fornicator in the best of the cases. So the thing is that a man needs to get rid of that. And the problem is that in the church they taught you not to do so, so that when you do so, you do it with guilt. So then done by force, because a man has to do it. A man has to do it. There's no turn of the page, so then he does it. Because there's a point that he can't think anymore. He's already desperate. It's like wanting to go to the bathroom, you can't go because it's occupied. So then you're going to have to end up going to the bathroom on yourself. There's no turn of the page. Well, that is the need of a human being, especially of a man and also of the woman. But a woman, something happens in her brain that sometimes she can get to cool it more. From a woman, I can't believe you that she becomes frigid, and then she's like a female cat that's been spayed. It happens. But not men. Pardon me, there's not one case. So then I don't believe Paul. I don't believe him. I don't believe anything from Paul. He's lying, Paul is, because men, they have that need. And so then they do so, and then afterwards, due to the guilt that in the churches they put on them, that, oh, you're such a sinner. And you stop to think, well, I must have lots of demons inside that obligate me to do this, to touch this. And they don't know that it's a human nature. That's how we were designed. So then, when a man says, I have the gift, don't believe him. He's lying. He's already lying. He's lying outright. He's a liar. It's like that would tell you about masturbation. It says half says the truth. That's the way it is. What half admits it. Let's say 80% admits that they masturbate in their lifetime. And the 20% is lying. Because there doesn't exist a man that does not have to use, it's like going to the bathroom. But what happens is that the church puts into you the guilt, and every time you do it, because you have to, I mean, there's such sons of bitches, because then they've got to do it, so then they have guilt. And they're like, we're going to grab with this, just like the devil. They show you there's a devil. I teach you that you got to be careful with the devil, and you're going to go here because you're going to be afraid of the devil. They show you that there's hell, and if you don't accept this, then the people come out of fear. Guilt, it works here. It's a basic need. It's like those that want to lose weight and they're thin or whatever, but they have a strict regimen. If they eat a little bit more, since they already have that rule, how do they feel? Guilty. guilty because they ate that little ice cream, that piece of chocolate, that croissant I ate today with so much butter. I could care less the way I look. I'm pretty either way. But if I start to have guilt due to what I eat, oh, I went overboard. Oh, this guilt, same thing happens in sex. Exactly the same thing happens in sex. It is the guilt that they put into you, so then they hammer you down and they even suicide. And I'm not even mentioning whether they read Ellen White about this or not. Who was that son of a bitch? Another one I'd punch in the face. Is called Dr. Kellogg. That son of a bitch would teach, and this is from whom Ellen G. White learned. He would teach that men, when they should not masturbate because that would reduce the brain and it would ruin the organs, and Ellen G. White copied it verbatim in a vision with the angel that would mount her, and she wrote that down, saying that masturbation ruins the inner organs. It's a lie, an absolute lie. In fact, if you don't do it, that ruins all the inner organs. I'll tell it to you up front, That's why Kellogg ended up crazy. He lost that. Ellen G. White ended up killing her husband, because I do believe that she did poison him. It's going to be so fun when I see the story in that YHWH show says that, yes, that bitch poisoned the man, because she was a wicked wench. She was so malign, that wench was in all aspects malign. She was really the worst thing, Ellen G. White. I just noticed. Now I am aware of the dimension of where I was in, and it all comes because of this, flat earth. I'm telling you the truth. Flat earth opens your eyes to the false prophets. It opens your eyes to everything flat earth does. Not to mention later about the divine medicine, how it ends up opening your panorama. And then after that, what is fundamental, but already of wisdom, YHWH Ekhad. There you get to the apex already. You get to the apex. You get to the apex of wisdom. It's a nice word. YHWH Ekhad. The base is flat earth. And then we move on with Germanic medicine. And the last thing is YHWH Ekhad. And so then, that natural function of a man cannot be repressed. If you repress it, then you're going to have all types of DHSs completely. And so will women. Where do you think that the uterine crab comes from, and all those types of sexual problems? They're all sexual problems, all of them. Every last one. And there's a whole lot of them. 8. I say therefore to the unmarried and widows, it is good for them if they abide even as I. What? The supposed most important disciple of Yeshua tells the singles and the widows, it is good for them if they abide even as I. But if they cannot contain, this gift of continency does not exist. It is guilt that they make you believe, because he didn't even have it. He was a liar. I mean, Paul, you're going to see this someday. Remember my words. You'll see that what Paul was saying is a lie. There's no such gift. Paul had to grab his hose and violently shake it with everything every now and then, or else Timothy was doing the shaking. Don't believe in the gift of continency, Paul was a son of a bitch. It does not exist in a man. That's the little problem. It does not exist. Look, once you learn Germanic medicine, you'll see how they lied to us. Paul did not have such a gift. Unless if by incontinency he's referring to the self-satisfaction, but he doesn't clarify. It's like, I've got the gift of continency, but I shake it twice a day. I am in prayer. I am in an ecstasis per se. Twice a day. If he had clarified it here, you'd say, okay, well put, Paul. Maybe he thought that was better than getting married, but it doesn't clarify it. I say therefore to the unmarried and widows, it is good for them that they abide even as I. But if they cannot contain, which nobody can, let them marry, for it is better to marry than to be burned. Wow, he was burning, and yet he doesn't recognize it. See, that's what happens. All men will burn if they try to contain. with that gift. Such a thing does not exist. The only ones that have the gift of continency are dead people. If you're dead, then nothing stands up anymore. If you're dead, then you don't need anything else. So then, barely Paul achieved this when they cut his head off. But the gift of continence does not exist. It is not by nature. It's like saying the gift of not eating, the gift of not breathing, the gift of not urinating, the gift of not defecating. There's no such thing. It does not exist. And I want to leave this very clear, because or else you're not worthy of being the Son of Man or to rule the earth. I don't want any hypocrites, people that does not understand what I'm explaining to you. They won't be next to me. They'll be with Paul. With the hypocrites. 10. I don't want to go past the hour, because at 2:30 we've got a wedding. 10. And unto the married I command, yet not I, but the Lord. Another stupid shit, just like that. It's another stupid shit. And he's saying that the Lord commands it, mind you. He says that the Lord commands it. Let not the wife depart from her husband. And if she depart, let her remain unmarried, or be reconciled to her husband, and let not the husband put away his wife. Okay. I could care less even if the Lord says it. Why do I say that? Because the one that has to live with him is here, us. He married Israel and abandoned her. What is he going to say? He didn't just abandon her. He sent her as a slave to Babylon, or not. Not just that, he destroyed her home, destroyed the house, destroyed everything. So then he comes to tell us to not abandon our wives. I agree with divorce, period. Before, I used to be more closed-minded. If they don't get along, they cannot manage the situation in a better way, and they're getting sick, even get divorced. Now, there are techniques to get over that, and I try for all the techniques that we're seeing in what the Shemah is, how to fall back in love. But that's not the subject, how to fall back in love. But if at this moment somebody tells me this is a toxic relationship, there's people hitting each other, there's physical abuse, can they separate each other? Absolutely. Absolutely. When the Bible says, what man united, let men not separated. God didn't come and unite anything, just Adam and Eve, but no one else. God didn't unite me with Leslie. My dad did. He gave me a blessing. I'm not taking that thing about God united me. He has to come in person to do so. But the one who united is myself. Let's stop saying stupid shit already. Let's leave that mind behind. Or else you cannot rule this world. Or else you're still slaves. If a couple does not get along, if they're destroying themselves and there's no way for them to recapacitate, then divorce themselves. Who is the Lord to say, do not get divorced? The one living with the lady here is with her is I. The one living with the dude is I. God can't even tell me not to get separated. Who told him not to get separated from Israel? You see, that's the situation. The thing is, you have to think, you have to rule, you have to be kings, or else. And then to top it off, he says, I command this. That's fine. The woman should not separate herself. She should get over her problems. But there are times when there's no other turn of the page. And if she does depart, let her stay unmarried. See, why? This is why my uncle suffered. 1,000 people suffered this, that they would separate themselves, and so they were already left unmarried forever. Why? Who puts those fucking laws? Who does? Yahweh placed them in the Torah. It's annulled. The Torah is annulled. What are they going to show me? What is it? No, nothing. So then those laws, the humans are the ones that put them. If you got separated, then remarry. Wow, absolutely. Wow. If it weren't so, then people present here, people in the eternal truth, could not remarry. Do you understand what I'm saying? Am I saying something that is not based? If I were to apply that rule, many of the ones married today that are listening to me should not be married and should get divorced. just to apply this rule. So then how do I say this rule? I could care less even if God himself says it. Because if it were true, then you should separate yourself. And you know who I'm talking about. Because if you got separated, you cannot remarry. And if you got remarried, then you live in sin. And if you live in sin, then you go to hell. And you know how this rule does not exist. I'll read it again. And to the married I command, yet not I, but the Lord, let not the wife depart from her husband. If the husband hits the wife, let her separate. If the woman is abused by the husband in whatever way, to send them to go fuck off and separate. We don't have to take shit from anybody. Just like that. If the woman considers that the husband mistreats her, and she lives subjugated to something that she doesn't want to be, no matter who the fuck said it, not even God, who the wants to lay with the husband is her, not God. So then she can say, I'm not going to live with you anymore, and that's it, it's over, and that's it, it's over. And also has the right to say up ahead, if I fall in love with some other guy, I'll marry some other guy. That's my way of thinking. Let not the wife depart from her husband, and if she depart, let her remain unmarried, or be reconciled to her husband, and let not the husband put away his wife. I mean, I find that perfect. That's obvious. Obvious, if he loves his wife, he's not going to abandon her. If he abandons her, he's a son of a bitch. It's not that they separate each other because they fought. Now, if the guy abandons her, I shouldn't even have to come and tell you, don't abandon your wives, and you don't abandon her just to listen to me. It does not enter into my mind. Okay, let's see if you understood me. If you gotta tell some guy, don't abandon your wife because that's wrong, so then he says, okay, so then I was gonna abandon her, but since you tell me, then I won't abandon her. I mean, what did I gain? If the guy's still a son of a bitch, a guy does not abandon the woman because he's a true man, because he loves her. Because if he were to abandon her, he would sustain her. And he says, no, I have a compromise with you, or else he's a piece of shit. And piece of shit guys, we have all over the place. Whom do we want to save that piece of shit? Save him for... They're all going to be saved, but what I'm saying, whom do we want to rescue now? That piece of shit that he has to read, do not abandon your wife. Oh, I'm going to remind all the husbands of the eternal truth not to abandon their wives. If I have to say a stupid shit like that, then I'll close my ministry. If you're not going to abandon her because I said so, then I would say, women, abandon that son of a bitch. If a man stays with a woman just because he's read in the Bible not to abandon her, then abandon that husband. Abandon that worthless husband. So then everything said here is stupid shit. Okay, moving on. Okay, 10 and 11. Okay, 12. But to the rest I speak, so then all the rest of you I say, not the Lord. If I couldn't care what the Lord said, even less what you have to say, Paul. But he's going to say some stupid shit now. And unto the rest I speak, not the Lord. If any brother hath a wife that believeth not, and she be pleased to dwell with him, let him not put her away. Obviously, that is clear. Obviously, I do agree with you here, Paul. I do agree with you here with this. But now, why did he marry a non-believer? Let's suppose that what Paul is saying is that he met the Lord, the gospel. He met the gospel when he was already married. So then he became Christian. So then he says, if a brother has a woman that is not a believer, and she be pleased to dwell with him, let him not put her away. Thank you, Paul, for telling me that. But of course, if you abandon her because you were already married, and you have a different faith, I mean, you get well along with her, you love her, but she doesn't have the same God as you, then you're a son of a bitch. And there are situations which are, wow, they are just like that, incredible. That precisely, due to not listening to this, there are better things that come up. Leslie could get upset with me, but I'll tell this story. Leslie's parents got married in Argentina. Same ideology, same race, a lot of attraction. Because her dad would tell me that still, he felt attracted to the mom. Can I say the names? Irma. Okay, Irma. He was still attracted by Irma. Okay, they got married very young. They came to live here to the U.S. They started to work. They had two precious daughters, Leslie and then the other daughter. When Leslie was like 5 years old or four, somebody knocked at the door. 3 years old, somebody knocked at the door. And who is that? Noemi Montalvo. So then it was a nice little couple, Catholics and religion. Both Norberto as Irma were Catholic, and they were perfectly happy. So then this Adventist lady comes into their lives and makes Doña Irma Adventist. And she becomes an Adventist, fanatically so, like every Adventist, and even more if Noemi converts you. So then what happened is that Irma started to learn that alcohol was a sin. My father-in-law was never a drunkard. He drank with measure, but he would drink a little wine with dinner, just like Argentinians, very controlled. I'm telling you because I saw this 1,000 times. She started to throw away his bottles. He was still Catholic, he'd care less. But the bottles started to disappear. So then that started to cause such a bad relationship between them that all of a sudden he even grabbed her by the neck. This is what Doña Noemi tells me, that my father-in-law tried to kill her, that he grabbed her by the neck. He was a big guy. He grabbed her by the neck and it says some angel saved her because the guy was going to kill her. I mean, crazy things from Noemi. Don't believe Noemi. Because says, don't ever come here. Because maybe he says, stick that relationship in your ass. You're ruining my life. He's like, why are you fucking up my life? As it turns out, Irma became very fanatical and she grabbed both her kids and went to Argentina, abandoned her husband. Since he didn't want to get separated, he convinced him that he could visit the family, and she never came back. That is what my own father-in-law told me, and that is true. It's absolutely true. He always got along with his daughters. He always tried to keep them and keep up with them. He didn't want to get separated whatsoever. But in the mind of an Argentinian, he never wants to get separated in the Argentinian culture. An Argentinian does not abandon a wife, just like here. In Argentina, at least where I grew up, in Buenos Aires, the concept of family is very strong. And men can have a lover on the side, but his wife is his wife, and they stay with his wife. That's the way it is. It's different. The concept of Latin America over there. An Argentinian man does not abandon his wife. It's not like in other cultures. That's why I'm telling you that sometimes the cultures should not mix. They should not be mixed. Okay, erase that rule. That could be a rule of mine. You delete it and do whatever you want. Do whatever you want. Okay, moving on. If both Naomi and my mother-in-law would have listened to Paul, they should not have abandoned my father-in-law, right? Ever. And if they had not done so, I would not have met Leslie. If I had not met Leslie, I would never have come to the U.S. because she brought me almost by my hair because I didn't want to come. If I hadn't come over here, I would never have spoken. And not just come here, but if I wasn't married to Leslie, I would never have spoken. It's all a consequence, and you look at that and said, oh, good thing that Paul wrote the stupid shit that nobody listens to. It's still stupid shit. It says, if a brother hath a wife that is not a believer, and she is pleased to dwell with him, let him not put her away. Precisely, my mother-in-law did the contrary, and thanks to that, a great blessing came to that. My mother-in-law abandoned him. Did she do well or not? In my point of view, she did wrong. But thanks to that, I met Leslie. It's clear, right? I mean, it's this life's incongruencies. 13. And the woman which hath an husband that believeth not, it was the case of Irma, and the woman which hath an husband that believeth not, and if he be pleased to dwell with her, let her not leave him. He wanted to live with her. He got so upset when she never came back. Obviously, absolutely. He wanted to live with her his entire life. Absolutely. But I think Naomi didn't read this to her. She didn't read that little part to her. Didn't read this part. Okay, but what am I trying to say with that? That the rules do not exist. The rules do not exist. She considered that was the best thing. Okay, for her it was the best thing. For me it was the best because I met Leslie. For Leslie it was the best because she met me. For you, it was inconceivably better for you. Or else you would never have known the eternal truth. So then, due to have breaking a law like this one from Paul, it turned out for everybody, maybe not for my poor father-in-law, but for the rest, it turned out well. So then the rules do not exist. These type of piece of shit rules. And even less from a gay dude. 14. Let me check all the dislikes I have now. Do I have another one? Because I'm saying so many things, but the people doesn't have the stomach of how I speak about Paul. Leslie here speaks, these people have no shame. These people listening to you have no shame. You have 8 dislikes. Wow. Okay, we're going to continue to speak a little bit more about Paul then. It says, 14. For the unbelieving husband is sanctified by the wife. That's another stupid shit. Why is an unbelieving husband be sanctified by the wife? I used to like this, but why is he going to be sanctified by the wife? No, he is sanctified or separated when he understands. If he doesn't understand a thing, he continues on with his life, but he's going to have to learn. You understand what I'm saying? There's no sanctification or not. Here is to learn. It's about learning. The sanctification that I taught you about the other day, justice. What is justice? To learn everything in which we've gone wrong due to the inheritance of our parents, due to our own wisdom, and due to not knowing the truth. We're going to go through all our life and fix everything. So then there's no such thing as that the husband is sanctified by the wife. What stupid shit is that? Before, when I was a Christian, I would have said, wow, yeah, she receives an imputed sanctification due to the wife. What? That's a lie. There's nothing imputed. Absolutely not. Because the unbelieving husband is sanctified by the wife, and the unbelieving wife is sanctified by the husband. Else were your children unclean. What is he saying? But now are they holy? Neither unclean nor holy. The children are not unclean or holy, either one. Because they have to be sanctified, the husband and the wife through the other. There's no imputed sanctification imposed by someone else because I'm good. I saved this one who was a bitch. Or because she was good and saved the son of a bitch. No, it isn't so. Paul, what the fuck is he saying? He's saying another stupid shit. I think that day he was pretty perturbed, and he wrote whatever came to mind. But Yahweh knew that perfectly well, that this was important for that church to always be a piece of shit and wouldn't understand a thing. Okay, moving on. But, I mean, do you see this logic of Paul's? Because an unbelieving husband is sanctified by the wife, and the unbelieving wife in the husband. Else, their children would be unclean. Of course, he says, if a holy person marries an unclean person, the product will be unclean. The only form that we cannot call the children of that couple unclean is if the other, we call him sanctified through the partner. You see what Paul is saying? A stupid shit from whatever angle you want to look at it. Wow, when is this period going to end? It's too boring already. The Bible says many things that have already bored me to death, because it's another parable after another, because no one believes the truth, and already the time has arrived for the Bible to end also, entirely. 15. But if the unbeliever separate, let him separate. Paul, of course, if the unbelieving depart, let him depart. He's saying, if your husband abandons you, then okay, you can separate yourself. Of course, that's obvious. But I mean, what the fuck are you saying, Paul? If an unbeliever depart, he's already departed. Doesn't need for you to say to depart. You have two substances, and I separate them. I can't say, okay, I mean, it's already separated. I can say, okay, now that they're separated, let them separate. Yes, I'll give him the authorization. Now they can depart. A brother or a sister is not under bondage in such cases, but God hath called us to peace. The advices of Paul are whatever. I am in favor. If there is mistreatment, there's a divorce, or if they're already destroying themselves and there's great, awful DHSs to also separate themselves. Hammer clearly says so. I am in favor of that. It's it, it's over. Once I discovered Germanic medicine and the way it works, I no longer buy the lies of the Bible, nor the way of thinking of these stupid people like Paul. I no longer believe. The only law that I believe in is life and justice that I taught to you, that you learn by learning flat earth and Germanic medicine. That, combined with the whole Bible, you already have a different level of justice. 16. For what knowest thou, O wife, whether thou shalt save thy husband? The wife cannot save him. The husband will be saved for real, but the wife cannot push him into a salvation without no understanding. The husband has to learn by force. So then we're not talking about a salvation. Oh, my wife saved me. She said, well, how stupid shit is that? My husband saved me. Or how knowest thou, O woman, whether thou shalt save a husband? That part about saved or not saved is no longer in our vocabulary, because they're all saved. So then the woman cannot save something that's already saved. Do you understand what I'm saying? So then we're always in the same stupid shit that is going to save him from what? From going to hell eternally. Maybe she's going to save him from there. No! If he has to go to hell to learn, then he's going to go there. If he learns here, it's a school, but the woman cannot save the husband of something that he's already saved from. Or how knowest thou, O man, whether thou shalt save thy wife? The husband saving the wife? What stupid shit is he saying? But as God hath distributed to every man, as the Lord hath called every one, so let him walk. And so ordain I in all churches. He ordains it. Okay, watch out. If you're under Paul, he ordained this. Paul does not ordain anything absolutely on me, not even the thoughts. And also he does not ordain not even who God is, because Paul doesn't even know who God is. Paul believes in a God and in the Lord Jesus Christ. So then who is he to ordain anything to me? No one. No one, absolutely no one. 18. Is any man called being circumcised? Like they say, like I. Let him not become uncircumcised. What a hypocrite. Paul. Is any called in uncircumcision, Timothy? Let him not be circumcised. Why did you circumcise Timothy? You hypocrite. He was called precisely being uncircumcised. Why did you circumcise him? That is the answer, because of the Jews. What? How hypocrite are you, Paul? Because of the Jews, you circumcised Timothy. I can't believe it. Who are you to give me any orders? You have to be crazy to follow the orders of Paul. Circumcision is nothing. I do not agree. Circumcision is a piece of shit. One thing is nothing, one thing is good, and one thing is to be a piece of shit. Circumcision is a deprivation. Circumcision is a sacrifice and a mutilation that's an aberration in a human being. For them to do that to the kids, I cannot believe. It's better that Yahweh would calm me down when we meet, because that about the circumcision is something that I detest. It's a filthy sacrifice that caused Yahweh to die, to crucify him. Why? Because he's a serpent. How are you going to have the men circumcised? Good thing they circumcised you at the 8th day, because it had to be so, because it's a mutilation. Past all the bad words that I could find, it's a circumcision that's an aberration. Circumcision is it's a mutilation that should not be, just like that should not be. And I will make it my business that everyone get back what was taken away from them. That'll be my business, that everyone get back what was taken away from them, because it's unfair, and you have to take that out of our minds, because a lot of people like this. It's like a lot of people that like, I don't know, to mutilate themselves and to cut their chest, because they like that. No, absolutely not. Circumcision is a bad practice. It's a practice of horror that was a punishment. So then circumcision is nothing. No, that's not it. It's a piece of shit. And incircumcision is nothing. No, incircumcision is everything, Paul. But keeping the commandments of God, that's what's important, to keep the commandments of God. Paul doesn't know what he's talking about. And whoever that says, oh, what's important is to keep the commandments of God. No. What's important is justice. And if the commandments go against justice, then I don't keep the commandments of God. It is clear what I'm saying. Absolutely clear. Because one of the commandments of God is circumcision. One of the commandments of God is that you can mistreat your slave. One of the commandments of God is that you should die if you pick up sticks on a Shabbat. One of the commandments of God is that you kill your son if he is lazy in a drunkard. And I could move on with the commandments of God. I could go on and on. So then it's all about keeping the commandments of God. No, it's not about keeping the commandments. What commandments? Which of them all? How are we going to keep them? Which is the sense of the commandment? Nothing is to keep the commandments of God. Everyone in the state in which he was called, let him stay in that state. What? If I call someone to know the truth, you should not stay in that same state. If I called you and you were a globe head, you should be a flat earther now. I called you when you were a pharmakeia. You should hate pharmakeia now. I called you being marked as you were a child, and now I called you to not be marked or pricked anymore. Either we improve or we go. Everyone stay in the same state that we're called. What state? We have to be better, or you don't get to justice. 21. Art thou called being a servant? Cared not for it. What? I would say you were called being a slave. Every last of your days of slavery to try to free yourself, because otherwise, tell the truth, you don't even know what life is. Paul is saying, you were a slave, continue being a slave. How is some guy going to say that? Why? Because he accepts slavery. Instead of saying you were a slave, you have to do everything possible to abolish slavery. Do you understand what I'm saying? I do not accept, not even Paul or a Christian, for him to say, you have to abolish slavery. You have to escape. When once escaped, he says, go back to your master. Instead of saying, you escaped, okay, then go to America, I don't know, to Spain, which was precisely one of the best places there. A province of Rome, Spain, go there. No, go back to your master. What? You were called being a slave, don't care, but he's like, don't you worry. But if thou mayest be made free, he says, if you can, then use it rather. No, Paul tried the whole time to leave slavery. It's a stupid shit what he said here. For he that is called in the Lord being a servant is the Lord's free man. That's a lie. That's a lie. He is a free man in the Lord, but he's still a slave of some guy that obligates him to work, doesn't pay him. He lives like an animal. That's what it is to be a slave. And he's talking about real slavery, not that of Babylon. Real slavery. When he says a slave, it's a slave that is chained to something. And if he doesn't have chains, it's because they trust that he's not going to escape. That's what a slave is. But look at what Paul says. Don't you worry if you're a slave. He says you're freed in the Lord. You're freed men in the Lord. For he that is called being free, he is a slave of Christ. I also don't want to be a slave of Christ. One thing is that Christ does not exist. Christ died. Yet Yahweh came and he became Christ, which is the anointed. But the anointed died. When they would anoint a king, he was anointed until he would die. Once he would die, we would anoint another one, not the same one. He's like, he's the anointed one, Saul, who's already dead. No, that's not what it says. Nobody said that. Let's see who's the next anointed. Okay, Yeshua was anointed. Yeshua was the Christ, but he died. And when he resurrected, he says, now I'm going back to the Father. In other words, I'm becoming the Father again. And I'll stop there because that's a very good subject. I mean, it's good. So then we're not slaves of him, slaves of some Christ, nor slaves of Yahweh, nor slaves of God. We're not. Because if you're going to make me a slave, then just destroy me. I don't want to be a slave. I don't want a slave to anything. The wife is not a slave of the husband. Okay, the Christians don't understand this, and of course, put more thumbs down. Because if you're a slave, then put a thumbs down. If you're gay, put another dislike. 23. Are we okay with the time? 23. Ye are bought with a price. Be not ye the servants of men. Bullshit also. Christians think that we were bought by price, by the blood of Christ who bought us. No. Christ sold us first. Or Yahweh. Who sold us? Who sold us? Who made us eat? Who cursed us? Who said you're going to have to work all the days of your fucking life with the sweat of your brow? Who said that the woman is going to have pain to bear a child and all of your pleasure will be given unto a man because you're going to serve men, whether you like it or not, and men will become Lord over you? What does that mean that we were bought with the blood of Christ? No. Oh, no. Don't make a mistake. The one who bought us, the one who sold us. He sold us to everything that we suffered in 6,000 years. We see it as a learning curve, of course. But they're not going to make me believe that he bought us, because if he bought us, then we're slaves. Only a master owns us. So then I was not bought, not by the blood of Christ, nor by anything. The blood of Christ freed us from the curse that he had placed on us, but he didn't buy us, because he bought us from whom? Notice that when one says he bought us, he says, who did he buy us from? You know, the Christian is going to say from Satan. Satan was our master, so then he comes and he pays Satan. He pays him the price. For he bought us from whom? Tell me, from whom? No one. He freed us. So then let's not say stupid shit. Leave this for the Christians. We were not bought. That's why the 144,000 are not we, because it says bought. Bought. Since I don't believe to be bought, one thing is to be bought and one is to be anointed, which is different, very different. Since we're not bought, we're not the 144,000, period. By price were ye bought, be not ye the servants of men. He's saying whatever here. He's talking about slavery, also referring to the marriage. Brethren, let every man wherein he is called, therein abide with God. I do not agree with this. It could care less in what state we were called, supposedly called. Called for what? I was born in the Christian church. When was I called? When I was born. When was I called? When I got married. When was I called? When I noticed that the Trinity didn't exist. In what time was I called? What is that to be called? What is Paul talking about? Of course, he says, no, to be called means that you were a pagan and Noemi Montalvo came to your doorstep, brought you the gospel. That's what it is to be called. At that point in time is when you're called, what stupid shit? It's nothing but stupid shit. Absolutely stupid shit. 25. Now concerning virgins, Paul's going to now speak about virgins. Now this gets better. Now concerning virgins, I have no commandment of the Lord, yet I give my judgment. No, Paul, your judgment is a disaster. As one that hath obtained mercy of the Lord to be faithful. What? But what's Paul saying here? Not even he believes this. He says, concerning virgins, I have no commandment of the Lord. Yet I give my judgment, which will be completely wrong. As one that hath obtained mercy of the Lord to be, I could care less. He says, obtain mercy to be faithful. I don't know if Paul was faithful to start. I think he was lying, and he says he had the gift. I don't think he had the gift of continence because it's a lie. It doesn't exist. So then that about being faithful, I don't believe you. You were not faithful since the moment in which that you know that the temple was to be destroyed and the rites no longer, and you went and did rites. Didn't you go with Timothy and you circumcised us? You weren't faithful in shaving your head and to go make sacrifices. So then why are you talking to me that you're faithful? I could give a fuck what you think. I do not agree. 26. I suppose, therefore, this is good for the present distress. What? To top it off, he's a liar. Of course, you could say, no, he was not a liar. He thought that everything was on its way already. Okay, let's suppose that he thought that everything was on its way. This was 2,000 years ago. I suppose, therefore, that this is good for the present distress. I say that it is good for a man so to be. No, Paul, you're a liar. Thanks to this, we have the Catholic Church that does not get married. Thanks to this, they formed a conscience of the poor man that wants sex and then he feels guilty. All this shit is due to this writing. Guys that write like this, for a man to be alone. God did not make a man to be left alone. Maybe in the future, maybe he makes us different. But right now, in this 6,000 years, a man does not want to be alone. He does not want to be alone, and I do not promote that he be alone. I promote that he looks for a match. Of course, I absolutely agree with that. 27. Art thou bound unto a wife? Seek not to be loosed. Art thou loosed from a wife? Seek not a wife. There it is, the stupid shit that Paul said. The first one he says, good. The first one, he got it well. He said, are you bound to a woman? Are you married? Do not be loosed. Good, Paul. Continue, move on. That one's good. But the following one, art thou loosed from a wife? Loosed from a wife. Look, that's a problem. Women are problems. Then go get a man. Are you loosed from a wife? Seek not a wife. Seek not a wife, but that is against creation, against the plan of Elohim. This is 2,000 years ago. 28. And if thou marry, thou hast not sinned. Oh, thanks for telling me, son of a bitch. Says, like, if you get married, you don't get sin, but you actually shouldn't. How is he going to tell me if you get married, you do not sin? It's not that you don't sin. It's a great blessing, you stupid idiot. Let's see if you understand this, because if you have a Christian mind, you don't understand my words. And if I'm violent, it's because otherwise, no one in this fucking earth speaks like the way I do, because I'm sick and tired of hypocrisy. How's someone going to say if you get married, you won't sin? But it's more than obvious that if you get married, you don't sin. I mean, he should say, you start to sin if you have a mind of not getting married. That's when you're already caressing sin. Why? Because you're gay, or because you see getting married as wrong. No, every man on this earth needs to get married. That is why for them to tell you, well, I tell you the truth. If you get married, you don't sin. I mean, you don't sin, technically. And if a virgin marries, she had not sinned. Paul, don't say that. If a man gets married, what a great blessing. If a virgin marries, what a great blessing. That's what you should say. There's a lot to learn in the marriage. So much to learn in a marriage. You cannot say, do you understand, Leslie, what I'm saying? Is it understood what I'm saying? Because to say, well, if you get a barbecue, it's not bad. No, do a barbecue because it's spectacular. Well, it's like, if you get married, you don't sin. I mean, you don't sin. What type of, it's what he's trying to say. It's for people not to get married. So then he says, at the edge of sinning, he's like, it's not a sin, but it's almost there. Right, he says, before sinning, burning, then get married. Not everyone has the gift of continency like I do. Because I get satisfied with Timothy and all the rest. Very well. Exactly. How are you gonna get married to not sin? You're gonna get married because so as to not fornicate, right? I mean, the whole thinking of Paul is wrong about marriage. Everything. I can't even look for a good angle, and I could care less about looking for a good angle. It's all the Christians looking for the best angle. I could care less. Paul, you said stupid shit. You said stupid shit about the Godhead, about a whole bunch of things. What is Paul good for? Because Paul, it is no good for me, really. But it was good for the people to abandon the Torah. That was the only mission he had, for the people to abandon the Torah. But, and if you marry, thou hast not sinned. And if a virgin marry, she hath not sinned. Thanks, Paul, for telling us that. Thanks. Nevertheless, such shall have trouble in the flesh. Wow, he's telling you. It says, but. They don't sin, but. Nevertheless, such shall have trouble in the flesh. But I spare you. Paul is saying that to get married is a hell. That's what he's saying. I'd like to spare you and for you to be happy like me. For no woman to command you. No, you have to learn to deal with women. Women, you have to learn to deal with men, or else you won't be able to deal with your inner demons. What are those? Your DHSs. When Yeshua would say, I'm going to take a demon out, was it a demon or a DHS? It was a DHS. Hysteria, another demon. Of course, terrible demons. Tremendous demon. For the women, they would go to the doctor in the 1800s, and the doctor would take their hysteria out. A tremendous demon. But Paul, what he's saying here, wow, he says, those who get married do not sin, but they shall have affliction of the flesh. Paul, you're a son of a bitch. I don't know why Yahweh allowed him to write this. Paul is defining that marriage is the affliction of the flesh. You don't believe what I said? I'll read it again. But, and if thou marry, thou hast not sinned. And if a virgin marry, she hath not sinned. Nevertheless, such shall have, I affirm this, shall have affliction of the flesh. But I, Paul, the gay guy, spare you. Paul would like to spare us affliction. What a son of a bitch, Paul. I mean, we should grab you and hit you in the face. I mean, Paul, I had read this and believed that I would have tried to avoid it. According to him, the affliction, the last 31 years. Angelina or Brian would not have been born, nor this ministry, nothing. Good thing I didn't listen to him and he spared me from the affliction. What affliction is he talking about? An affliction is to live alone. That's what it is. An affliction is crying all over them. Nobody wants them. That they can't use their organs like the way they wish they could. That nobody goes with them. That they don't have for somebody to give them heat when they're cold. That they have no one to make something nice. And they go refuge with their mother living alone. Or alone. Like dogs, because Paul avoided you. What? He spared you from affliction. That's a lie, Paul. Marriages are an affliction because they chose wrong. And marriages are an affliction because they don't know how to get along. But it turns out that affliction is the one that makes you be a better person. That affliction is the one that teaches you to develop your best ego possible. That affliction is the one that, well, start to mold you to be perfect. No one can be perfect being single. Another definition so that you nail it to your wall. And I'm saying this for all the singles, starting with Gabi. That's the only one left, Gabi. Everyone else is married. Yeah, Gardo got married. Ale got married. And now we're about to marry Graciela. And Gabi is alone, like a monk. No, Gabi, stop reading Paul. In missions, it is filled with beautiful women. I mean, extremely beautiful. Misiones has such a race. Argentinians got the polished girls, or white and blonde, and the German, or blonde and white. Mixed with the Indian women of the place, you got such a race there. Wow. I've been to Misiones, a very nice land, most beautiful women. Gabi, you've got a sea of women there that you can choose from, and preach flat earth to them. Don't preach about the popes and all that stupid shit. Flat earth, Gabi. Okay. He's like, my connection's off right now. So then, Is that true? I mean, I'm watching the time here. Is it true this about the affliction? It's a lie. It's a lie. Paul defined marriage equals affliction. Do we agree? Wow, how tremendous. Only a gay could say that. Only a gay could say that. Leslie here states that the only way in which a home is formed is when there is a marriage between a man and a woman, and when a man is stable and doesn't think like Paul, when a woman is no longer hysterical. But of course, I'll repeat what I said. No man can get to perfection being single. I'll repeat this again. No man can get to be perfection being single. Not even Yahweh. He needs his wife. That's the way it is. In every aspect. 29. Marriage equals affliction. That is Paul for you. But this I say, brethren, the time is short. That's a lie, another lie. He didn't know, but let's suppose, but okay. It was left as a lie. Time is short 2,000 years ago. But this I say, brethren, the time is short. It remaineth that both they that have wives be as though they had none. What a stupid shit are you saying, Paul, here? Everything that he says and all that about having a wife, it's already canceled, because then one girl told me this, that she had a vision about God back in 2011. Remember that, Leslie? That the time hath come in which we should not touch a woman, and if we touch a woman, the married people especially, if we touch a woman, we were already lost. Precisely a little prior to Tishri of 2011. Of course, I sent her to fuck off. There was no other. I called her a stupid, batshit wench, and of course she called me a false prophet. Because God had made her understand for us to not touch women anymore. What? To not touch woman? She's mine. We're one. That's why I say unto thee, brethren, the time is short. That's a lie. It remaineth that both they that have wives be as though they had none, and they that weep as though they weep not, and they that rejoice as though they rejoice not, and they that buy as though they possess not, and they that use this world as not abusing it. For the fashion of this world passeth away. Oh, nothing but stupid shit, said by Paul. Some thoughts a little better than others, but either way, all stupid shit. Off with his head, just like that. Off with his head. Whoever says that marriage is tribulation and affliction, got to off with his head. There's another turn of the page. Yahweh demonstrates you with the results. He demonstrates to you. You never stop to think about that. He demonstrates you with the result of how the guy lives. It is a part of his life. 32. But that about that they cut his head off due to Christ, I think it means something else. They cut his head off for Christ, because Christ cut his head off. Right. Exactly. That's why they cut his head off. Per Christ. It was per Christ. Obviously, 32. But I would have you without carefulness. This is not to be worried. Why, Paul? He that is unmarried careth for the things that belong to the Lord. That's a lie. Another lie. The unmarried he goes crazy. Because the last thing is that he to care about the things of the Lord. That's a lie. He's looking first for satisfaction of his primary needs of his brain. The unmarried careth for the things of the Lord, how he may please the Lord. That's a lie. The single man has his own worries. He has so many worries as to please the Lord as the married man. And I don't know if the married man has even more. It makes more sense of pleasing God. But he that is married careth for the things that are of the world, how he may please his wife. See, that is why the Catholic Church, they don't marry. If you stay single, you dedicate the whole day unto the Lord to please the Lord. If you get married, you have to work, because now you have a home. You have to keep up the home. You have to make money. You have to please your wife. It's like, it's a terrible evil. Paul saying that this is a curse. It's an affliction to have to please your wife. But of course, it's a pleasure to please the wife. For example, Not that I'm thinking about the Christmas gifts, but of course, nobody has any excuse to not do that. You have a second tithe that's brutal. With Leslie, we have the custom of Hanukkah to give ourselves one gift per day. It's 7 days aside from Christmas, mind you. I'm telling you. It's a thing about couples. So then every day a little gift in Hanukkah. It's a Jewish custom, but it's good. Precisely, this is what they would tell us in Christmas. So then don't open the boxes that are arriving. It is one gift per day. Leslie's going to give me something per day, and I'll give one to her per day during all of Hanukkah. It's a custom. It's nice. I added more gifts among you. Aside from that of Christmas, it's pretty. But Paul says, no, but of course, how are you gonna remember the Lord? The only thing you care is to please your wife. The only thing is to please the wife is by pleasing his wife. That's the only way. Yeshua says, if you do something unto them, these little ones you did unto me, how do I please only the Lord? I don't want to use foul language. How would the Lord find pleasure in a single man? What can a single man do to please the Lord? At the feet of Gamaliel. Wow, Paul. What the fuck is Paul saying here? Wow. I'll move on. Okay, I'll read that one because it's good. I'd like then that ye be without carefulness. A single man careth for the things of the Lord, of how to please the Lord. But he that is married careth for the things of the world, how he may please his wife. He said, whatever. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. Paul cannot be a part of the new world order, but of course, he has to be re-educated, and until I see him married, I will not integrate him in any class of power. He pleased the Lord so much that he cut his head off. Okay, 12:05, and he cut his head off. He cut his head off. He says, there is difference also between a wife and a virgin. What? Between a wife and a virgin? The unmarried woman cared for the things of the Lord. What things of the Lord does the virgin care for? What can she's just fucking around, unmarried. How does she please the Lord so much? The unmarried woman careth for the things of the Lord, that she may be holy, both in body as in spirit. What a son of a bitch. He's saying holiness means no sex. There you have it. Paul has just said that the virgin careth the Lord to be holy in body as in spirit. For him, the maximum holiness is abstinence. It is a shit. This teaching is shit. Abstinence is holiness. That is why the Christians have the guilt about sex, because they have sucked at the teat of these guys who wrote this shit. But she that is married, careth for the things of the world, how she may please her husband. Look at how terrible this is. Paul says, for God is a lot better be single. What a son of a bitch. Absolutely, a single woman hasn't learned anything, not even how to deal in a home. Nothing. She's not learned anything, absolutely anything. This definition is shit. I have no other words. And time is running out. This I say for your own profit. He says, wow, you going to keep giving us more? More wisdom, Paul? Not that I may cast a snare upon you, he says, but for that which is comely. So to become comely and decent means to be single. That's what it is to be honest and decent. If you get married, you're going to care for your husband, your wife, in the world, you're no longer decent. If you get married, it'll be affliction. And that ye may attend upon the Lord without distraction. Wow. He says that marriage is a distraction. He just said it, but it is clear. Why do I tell you all this? So that you stay single, so that without any distraction you come unto the Lord. What would be the distraction? To get married. But it is more than clear. This enters into the mind of the Christians, and they don't even know why. After they get married or they have sex, there's so much guilt inside. Why might it be? Well, because sex is not holy. It's low. It's base. let's turn off the lights, do it quickly. The man, has the need, and the woman just like that, and then everything cools down. Thanks to what? Thanks to Christianity. Thanks to what? To the stupid shit that Paul wrote. How can I get closer to the Lord by being single? That is absolutely inconceivable. Completely. In fact, if you're single, off with your head. Right, like Paul, 36. More than one is worried here. 36. 36. I want to stop already because precisely I have the honor of marrying two people that have been in the eternal truth since they were little. Graciela was telling me since she was 13. And Jose's then like 15 or 16. 17 max. Hosea's time of dedication unto the Lord is over. From here on out, he goes into what? Into affliction. And he won't be able to dedicate himself unto the Lord anymore. Wow. I can't believe what Paul says. I can't believe it. Okay, 36. But if any man think that he behaveth himself uncomely toward his virgin, if she pass the flower of her age, and need so require, let him do what he will. He sinneth not. Let them marry. What Paul is just saying here, and I don't have any time because I'm going to stop already. Paul's saying, for those who have a daughter who's already getting a little over mature, that's what he's saying, and says, oh, well, and then you think that it's improper that she stays single, then that's wrong. For you think, for me, it's okay. For me, she should stay that way. She should stay single and die single, holy and pure. But okay, well, if you can't, with that same concept that I tell you, because I'm a lot holier than thou, if you can't handle that, then yeah, that's fine. Let her be married. Now, who's the father to let his daughter that's over mature get married now? I mean, it doesn't make sense. Nevertheless, he that standeth steadfast in his heart, having no necessity, but hath power over his own will, and hath so decreed in his heart that he will keep his virgin, doeth well. Do you understand what I'm saying? I can't understand that a son of a bitch like this is in the Bible. He says, if you decided to keep your daughter virgin, and she's already past the age, she's 30, 40 years old, 50, and you kept her a virgin, and he says, first of all, congratulate him because it's a excellent task. You kept his daughter virgin and pure. But if you have that in your heart, and you have no need, without having any need, but you're an owner of your own will, what it makes you that your daughter does not get married? Keep her, kidnapped. But what if she wants to get married? No, not what she says. It's what the owner, the father, says. This is all shit in all aspects to say every aspect of this. He's saying that the father owns the daughter, and that's a lie. He's saying that it'd be good for the father to keep his daughter virgin forever. He's saying that if you have your own will and you own your own will, you're not going to allow for your daughter to get married. Look at what he's saying. He says, but he that is steadfast in his heart, a real macho like I am, without having any need, but he has his own will and not of another, you have your own will, and you have steadfast in your heart to keep your daughter virgin, doeth well. Wow. No matter what your daughter wants, if the father keeps his daughter virgin, he doeth well. You got to grab every book of Paul and burn it. It is crazy. So then he that giveth her in marriage doeth well, but he that giveth her not in marriage doeth better. Okay, he says it very clear, the son of a bitch. I'm not making anything up. He's saying that it's a reality that nobody makes you see this. A reality so that you understand that the Bible is written by men that would say stupid shit. How's he going to say if you have decided to give your daughter into marriage because you have a weak will, because she manipulates you, because you could care less about holiness of your daughter, then okay, let her marry. Then you do well, given your poor will. But now, if you have your own will, and you own and power of your own will, and you have a steadfast heart, and you want your daughter to be holy and pure for the Lord, then do not let her get married, and you do even better. He says, how is somebody going to say some stupid shit like that? 39. The wife is bound by the law as long as her husband liveth. But if her husband be dead, she is at liberty to be married to whom she will, only in the Lord. You said something well there, and I wouldn't say in the Lord, but rather it's okay to be, she can marry whomever she wants. That's not in the Lord or nothing. Whoever she matches with her, that is what I would say. Without further ado, 40. But she is happier. He's going to add something. It didn't stay that way. Everything I'm going to say, that's fine. He corrects it. Everything I'm going to say, okay, that's good, Paul. He says, but. He says, but she is happier if she so abide after my judgment. Single, like I, pure. And I think also that I have the Spirit of God. Well, you don't have it. You have the life of God, but the Spirit of God, you don't have it. But rather, you would not have said that stupid shit. You bored me, Paul. Tomorrow, next Shabbat, I'll continue because I was not able to develop. We're about to develop the Shemah. So the next Shabbat, once again, the Shema comes back in the text of invitation, but also I'm not going to talk about Paul. I wanted to talk about what I talked to, and I'm going to wrapping this up. I wanted to talk about this, about that you're free to look wherever in the earth. It is key not to be pricked, because we know that the pricked will go. And it would be very foolish to look for somebody there when the mind, you already know that if somebody is pricked, then don't look for that. And within those that are unpricked, and there's a brutal world out there, you start to detect who believes in something as insane as flat earth. With that alone, you have the key to open everything else. Absolutely. That is why the Bible starts with Bereshit, which is creation. Not by chance does it begin with the creation. Bereshit bara Elohim. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. That is the beginning that you can detect the best person with when they believe in a creation, a real one, not a globe spinning and traveling through space, a stupid belief of a infinite universe. When the person believes in a creation, which is only the earth, what opens up are the possibilities. Don't look for someone that is baptized in the name of Yeshua. That doesn't matter. Look for someone that matches physically with you, that matches with your own rules, and also that matches in what fidelity is, faithfulness. And that does not begin with God. It begins by contradicting Babylon, because that is the secret for you not to buy the lies from Babylon. Today you've heard something very new. We'll continue to develop this subject next Shabbat. But now, disobeying Paul, we've got a marriage to fulfill. And Paul would say, hey, this is the last chance. You'd be great to stay like that. It'd be great for you to stay like that. I don't know about virgin. I won't act like that. But virgin in the Lord, it'd be better, Paul would say. I say no. I say absolutely not. What a blessing. What a great blessing do I have in marrying them and getting married. So then in 10 minutes, we'll have the marriage of Josias and Graciela. Without any further ado, we shall meet again next Shabbat. May the Lord guide you and keep you. Let us wrap up with a word of prayer. Beloved Yeshua, we give you thanks because you have given us a free mind, analytical, to freely think, to see the parables and to see all the garbage that is hidden in the scripture. That is why your scripture is hidden, and very few, only the kings, can penetrate into the true scripture, because it is your glory to have hidden it with those fourth-class writers. Yet it is the glory of the kings to discover what the truth is, what is it that you want, and what the function that we fulfill on this earth. In your precious name, we thank you for this. The name of our husband, Yeshua, Yahweh, Hallelujah. Semper Fi. Semper Fi to every one of you. May the Lord keep you. Long live the children of Elohim. Long live the sons and daughters of Elohim, and down with Paul. Down with Paul. Long reign Yeshua. We shall meet again next Shabbat, but remember that following we'll have a wedding in 10 minutes. Alleluia to every one of you.